Welcome everyone to the November 17th, 2025 Ashland Conservation Commission meeting. I am calling to order at 7 o'clock and there is a quorum of the commission and this meeting is being recorded. This is a hybrid meeting, so I'm required to read a few pre-meeting protocols before we get to the agenda items. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast live by WACA-TV and live streamed on Facebook. Remote participation is available using the Zoom video conferencing platform. Any disruption with our video conferencing platform will result in the platform being shut down. Meetings will continue to be broadcast on WACA-TV. Under Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 executive order, public boards are allowed to meet remotely. This order was most recently extended until June of 2027 by Governor Healy as part of the supplemental bill budget signed in March of 2023. Please follow these procedures for attending and participating. The meeting of the Conservation Commission will be held using Zoom. As I identify the item on the agenda, the applicant for that agenda item will be given an opportunity to provide a presentation and will be allowed to share the screen to show plans, pictures, etc. At the end of the presentation, the chair, myself, Greg Wands, will entertain questions and comments from the commission. When the commission's discussion has concluded, the chair will open up the discussion from the public. Upon the hearing or meeting conclusion, a motion to continue or close the hearing will be entertained. After discussion, the chair will call for a roll call vote. During the meeting, commission members will keep their video on and microphone muted unless speaking. Applicants and representatives, please keep your video off and microphone muted until your agenda item is discussed. Public, please keep your microphone muted until recognized. If you are calling in by phone number, you can use the *6 to mute and unmute. If you need to share your screen, you may request permission through the chair to do so. When the discussion is open to the public, if you wish to ask a question or make a comment, you may request to speak by using the raised hand feature on Zoom. If you are calling in by phone number, you can use the *9 feature to raise and lower your hand. When acknowledged to speak, please state your name and address prior to speaking. And if you come to the podium, there will be a place there to put your name and address for the speakers. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Comments must be limited to the Wetlands Protection Act, Ashland Wetlands Protection Bylaw, or Ashland Stormwater Management Bylaw. Questions and comments not related to the Commission's jurisdiction will not be accepted. During the meeting, the host, Becca Solomon, our Ashland Conservation Commission agent, will monitor the participants for raised hands and will be recording the names and addresses of commenters. Signing of documents will occur during the week after the conclusion of the meeting. So our first scheduled hearing will start at 7:05. It is now 7:03, so we'll have to wait a couple minutes before we open up our scheduled hearings.
I think I'm doing okay. Thank you.
for this hearing? Sure. The floor is yours, so why don't you take us through your project?
Great, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Will Park. I'm civil engineer at SMMA out of Cambridge. I'm representing the applicant, the Gutierrez Company, represented tonight by Israel Lopez. Also on the project team is Mark Arnold from Goddard Consulting. Would you like me to give an overview of the project, specifically the stormwater management design, sir?
Yes, please.
How about the whole project?
So we'll probably want to hear everything that's jurisdictional to the Ashland Conservation Commission. So
Yes.
yeah, buffers and the stormwater. So
Greg,
it's going to be more than just
yeah,
stormwater.
Greg, this is Gene. I want to hear a whole presentation about the whole project. I think there's a lot of people here that may or may not know what's going on here, more than just stormwater management. That's one piece of the project. I think we need to know about the whole project.
Okay, agreed. Do you want to take us?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll take it up a level,
Yeah, all
sir. And Mark is going to present on the wetlands and buffers and everything.
Okay.
Okay, so the project site is located at 61 Waverly Street. As you can see on this plan is showing, right? As you can see, the project site is bound to the north by Waverly Street and to the south by East Union Street. There's a large bordering vegetated wetland to the east of the site. The proposed project is a 5-story building, multifamily residential building with 226 units. The project is currently in front of the Ashland Zoning Board of Appeals. The parking and circulation is provided around the perimeter of the site. The project is seeking a waiver from the zoning bylaw to reduce the parking ratio from 2.0 spaces per unit down to 1.73 in an effort to meet market demand and to help consolidate the footprint as much as possible into the center of the site. There's one curb cut off of Waverly Street where my icon is located, and one to the south off East Union Street where my icon is right now. The parking is a combination of surface parking and several garages around the perimeter, as you can see here, these smaller structures. The building itself will have an interior courtyard and amenity area, as well as some exterior amenities, a dog park, and a playground in these nooks here. The stormwater management design is highlighted here in blue. These are the main trunk lines of the drainage system. And I've highlighted the stormwater best management practices, which include 2 subsurface infiltration systems, 1 surface infiltration system, and 1 bioretention system at the bottom of the driveway. The reason that these, so there are several outlets towards the BVW. One is out of this subsurface stormwater system. This discharge right here is from the foundation drains to help just replenish the groundwater levels in the BVW. And then this subsurface system discharges to the east towards the BVW. The surface infiltration system and the bioretention system will combine and enter the street drainage in Waverly Street, which the applicant is proposing to enhance with an additional structure and convert the old catch basin that there is now into a more traditional catch basin with deep sump connected to, and convert the current catch basin into a manhole, consistent with current best practices. Going through the, just a high level through the stormwater treatment standards. The groundwater recharge is met from the all four basins, frankly. The soils beneath, underlying the site are sandy loams and loamy sands, which are hydrologic soil groups A and B. So recharge is quite favorable on this site. The applicant engaged Sandboard Hannon Associates to do a very extensive subsurface investigation to support the stormwater design, including roughly, I think, 20 or 25 test pits, including the minimum required within the footprint of each BMP. So the site does meet the recharge requirement and the TSS removal requirement, and also for the very, very small areas of the site which do not drain to one of them, one of the BMPs, the weighted average has been used for both TSS and recharge to provide more than is necessary to make up for those small areas that cannot be routed to them. I meant to mention this. The reason that the discharge points are concentrated on the east side of the site is, despite the large frontage along Waverly Street, there surprisingly is no catch basin or drainage under Waverly Street for this entire section. The only one that exists is this catch basin here that I mentioned that connects up here, and then just off the viewport is a larger culvert under Waverly Street. So that's why we're connecting up in this corner and not introducing any discharges along this frontage here. In addition to the Mass DEP stormwater regs, in accordance with the local bylaws and the TMDL requirements of the receiving water, the site does meet the phosphorus and nitrogen removals. We exceed those targeted rates for removal of those two pollutants through use of the various infiltration systems. And then lastly, a long-term operation and maintenance manual was included in the NOI filing, and the applicant is planning to, because the disturbance is in excess of 1 acre, is planning to prepare a SWIP and apply for coverage under the NIPD's construction general permit, which can be, we would be happy to submit to the town for review prior to construction. That's what I wanted to cover in terms of stormwater. Any questions on that before I pass it off to my colleague to discuss the wetlands and buffers?
I'll open that up to the commission. Are there any questions at this point?
Yeah, your name is again?
Will Park,
Mr. Park.
civil engineer.
We are probably going to have a general overview tonight and not get too far into the weeds. We've decided as a commission, we have 3 40Bs coming before us simultaneously. We're going to try to sever the 40B hearings from our regular hearings so that we can actually spend some time on them and not rush them through. So this evening, we're probably just going to have a general discussion of what your plan is and how we plan to move forward from here.
Understood.
Thank you.
Before I pass it off to Mark Arnold, I just, a nice segue. The project respects the town's local 25-foot no disturb, which is this green line right here. As you can see, the grading and limit of work respects that. And the 100-foot buffer, the proposed impervious surfaces within the 100-foot buffer are very, very minimal, just these little slivers here and here, where there'll be minimal parking and two portions of the 2 parking structures within that buffer. And with that, I'll pass it off to Mark Arnold from Goddard Consulting. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. Mark Arnold again with Goddard Consulting, soil scientists for the project. Just to give a quick general overview of the wetland resource areas on the property, we have a bordering vegetated wetland that was delineated on the property. That also included the bank of an intermittent stream at the north end of the property, which was delineated separately. Classical BVW characteristics included your red maple vegetation with high bush blueberry, sweeter bush, and cinnamon fern. Upland vegetation was pretty consistent with a break and slope changing up to white oak, red oak, white pine, bracken fern, and other upland species. We also delineated based on soils to confirm hydrology within the wetlands. As you're aware, the wetland delineation requires that there be 50% wetland vegetation and also wetland soils within those delineated areas. We do believe the area is delineated per the Wetlands Protection Act and the DEP delineation manual. The site is not mapped for any endangered species, not within any estimated priority habitat or critical areas of concern. There's no outstanding resource waters or FEMA floodplain areas on the site. There are 2 mapped potential vernal pools on the site. The habitat has not been confirmed, so at this point it's only a speculation of whether or not there's habitat actually there. And the project has been designed to comply with the Wetlands Protection Act in terms of the buffer zone area being a non-resource but only protected insofar as it protects the resource areas itself. The project does respect the 25-foot wetland buffer under the bylaw. This application is only under the Wetlands Protection Act itself. In terms of what is proposed within the buffer zone, just to walk through what Will talked about, but also a little more clarity on that is the 2 stormwater systems, one being the surface, one being the underground, 2 small garages, and then some of the parking areas and some of the graded slopes. So that's highlighted in green on the screen. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit if I can, just to highlight that. So there we go. I'm just going to shift it a little bit down as we go, but so you can see up here, this is the 25-foot buffer dotted line on the edge here, coming down here, that's your 25-foot, and then this is your 100-foot buffer zone here. As Will noted, the project has sought relief from the zoning board on the parking density to respect the 25-foot and also respect this area buffer zone as well. So we've tried to protect areas that we can. There's also natural undisturbed buffer zone on the other side of the wetland that the project is also protecting. So it's a pretty straightforward buffer zone project in terms of compliance with the Wetlands Protection Act. We don't have any impacts to wetland resource areas on the site. And we hope if there's any questions that the Commission may have about the project's work and its impact to the BVW that we could start that conversation tonight.
So could you highlight again where the vernal pool is, the presumed vernal pool?
So the two potential vernal pools, these are areas that are mapped by someone who has not necessarily visited the site at any point or time, but basically looked at aerials. There's an area in here, interior to the wetland itself, and then there's the other one is down in this area here. Again, interior to the wetland delineation itself. In some points, like it could be 20, 30 feet inside the wetland line. If it exists at all. Again, it's a flooded wetland area. It doesn't necessarily mean there's actually habitat or species actually breeding there at all.
Okay. Are there any other questions from the Commission?
Just for clarification, you have applied for a waiver to the local wetlands bylaw at the ZBA, correct?
We have multiple, are you referring to the wetlands bylaw in Ashland?
Yes.
We have requested waivers to the ZBA in that matter before them, yes.
Okay, and for people that are watching, this kind of gets confusing for people that are watching these hearings. We have jurisdiction over a local law and a state law. What the applicant has applied to the ZBA is for a waiver on the local law. And it's the local law that contains the 25-foot no disturb zone. With regard to the vernal pools that the gentleman's discussing, the state law only protects certified vernal pools. Our local law protects non-certified vernal pools. So, and what he's described here is that these vernal pools are within another part of a wetland system that would be jurisdictional under the state law. Is that, as you?
So just to be clear, so the state law states that the ZBA has the jurisdiction to oversee all the local bylaws in the town when a 40B application is filed. And so the ZBA is responsible for handling all matters of compliance and any waivers that are required to handle that. And so this application is under the Wetlands Protection Act. So in terms of what we've done, we've respected 25 feet off the wetlands, if you want me to phrase it that way. Just to be clear, the Wetlands Protection Act does not protect any certain area of the buffer zone. Many projects are approved closer to the wetlands than 25 feet under the Wetlands Protection Act. And so we've sought to find a medium balance to what is known, which is we know we have a BVW, we respect the 25-foot buffer, and any of these potential vernal pools, is not known if they are vernal pools or not. They're interior to the wetland system itself, and again, we believe we protect the wetlands under the Wetlands Protection Act, and therefore anything interior we would also be protecting under the state law.
And we haven't, you haven't applied for an ANRAD for this, correct?
We have not, no. So this wetland delineation was completed by us. We do believe it is per the Mass DEP guidance, but if the commission wanted to review that, it's something, a matter the commission could consider.
I think that's something that we need to do, to set up a site walk to confirm the delineation.
Absolutely.
Before the end of this hearing.
Absolutely. If the commission wants to
the end
review
of
the
this
wetland
meeting.
line, that it's absolutely within your purview, and we would understand that.
Okay. That's all I have for now.
Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, Greg, this is Gene.
Yeah, Gene, go ahead.
When was the wetland delineated?
The wetland was delineated, just give me 1 second so I can get the date correct. It was delineated on November 20th of 2024.
So about this time last year.
Correct.
So it was in a leaf-off condition and no ground cover.
So no ground cover. Our delineation staff did observe ground cover remnants, including ferns, which are still often present, although they may have died back. You can still identify them from various characteristics. So we don't believe that the leaf drop would have impacted the delineation, particularly also when we verified the wetland delineation based on soils.
Okay.
Do you want to schedule that while you're standing at the podium for us?
I guess the question is does the commission want to do a site walk before the delineation is reviewed? I wasn't sure if the commission would want this, is going to just review the delineation on the field, or if they wanted someone else to look at it as well, just to be clear, just from the applicant. Is the commission familiar enough does the commission want to actually review the delineation themselves personally, or are they looking to see the site but also have a scientist look at it?
Personally.
Yeah, I haven't been to the site. I know there was one site visit a while ago, and I wasn't present, so
Yeah,
I know I would like to check the flagging.
And that was before the delineation that the commission visited.
Okay, so yeah, I think that warrants a
Yep.
site visit by the commission.
Absolutely, we'd be glad to do that, and we'll bring our augers and we can show you the soils as well.
Okay,
In the past, we've usually go out and we'll check it ourselves, but if we have any questions, we've actually brought somebody else in
Okay.
to,
Yep, just wanted to make sure that this just understood the direction, but that's totally understandable.
okay. Sooner than later is this weekend. Are folks available this weekend? Saturday at, say, 9 o'clock a.m.?
It's a good question.
Greg,
Yeah, hi, Gene.
I will not be available, but I would ask, is Becca, will you be available for that?
I would not be available this Saturday. I would be available Sunday. the weekend after, I am also not available. Sophia, I'm not sure what your availability is, if you would be able to stand in if I'm not there.
Okay, I think we're,
I can do Sunday.
Sunday, okay.
Sunday.
Well, if that's amenable, I think we're leaning towards Sunday
Okay.
at 9 o'clock?
Yeah.
Sunday at 9
We-
o'clock
we-
on
we-
site?
I can accommodate that, although it's not preferred.
I know, either, yeah, no, I know. I have to-
Saturday is great. Yeah, is there any chance we could move it earlier on Sunday? Just,
I don't mind.
yeah,
What
so,
time were you thinking?
I mean, if we could do 8, that would be great for me
8?
personally.
Yeah.
So if you
Let's
don't
do
mind.
8. Okay.
Thank you so much,
Oh,
appreciate
you're
it.
welcome. No, thank you for accommodating us. All right, so we're confirmed for Sunday at 8 o'clock in the morning, this Sunday. And then,
It'll be chilly.
yeah, bundle up, everyone.
Better than wet.
Yeah. Okay. And where's the preferred place to meet on site?
So there's a pull-off on Waverly Street, although it's farther from the wetlands itself. There's more space, I believe, on Union for parking. I'm just trying to think of that many cars.
Yeah.
All right, let's park at the
The
school.
parking lot at the high school,
Yeah,
so right across the street.
okay.
Yep, so here we go, Will can highlight.
Yeah, so there's plenty of parking here across the high school. And then we can meet maybe in this front lot here and then start the delineation on the East Union. Sorry, we can park in the high school here, start the delineation on the south side and work our way towards Waverly Street.
Just look for my gray Prius. I'll be standing there with the honker.
All right. Okay, thanks again for accommodating us. All right. Are there any questions from the public?
Wait a minute. Well, are we done here before we open this to the public?
Is anyone else? Did you have something? Yeah.
Just a general thing that I want, just a general thing that I want to be sure that we address going forward is looking very closely at any outflows.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. I didn't know if somebody else was coming back up to discuss that.
Yep.
That's a very good question. SMMA, my firm, we walked the site early in the design process, and then we walked it again when the stormwater management system had kind of settled in. And we've walked the discharge points of each one of these flared end sections and, moved it 10 feet left or right to make sure they'll be in good spots, not susceptible to erosion and everything. So thank you for that question. We'll be prepared to identify, where each one of those blue lines ends in the field. Was that what you were referring to, sir?
I guess, except that some of us went out there this week, and we have concerns about the structural integrity of the section between where you're hooking into the stormwater drain on the, I guess that's the east side, where that goes and where that exits onto the property across the street.
Understood. Yes, we've looked into that as well, and we will be prepared to discuss that in the field. Or would you like to discuss it any more tonight?
I personally think that
Yeah.
we need to have a peer review look at it. I'm not an engineer.
So, allow me just to, I mentioned it briefly, but let me describe it in more detail. Sorry, this, okay, there we go. So, there's an existing catch basin right here where the blue dot is. We observed that structure. It is filled with sediment, and which is why several folks, and we've witnessed ourselves, have noted that it does not really drain well, and there can be ponding in this area. This existing catch basin discharges in a culvert up here, and then just off the screen, there's a large box culvert that goes under Waverly Street. As I mentioned before, what we're proposing to do is converting that catch basin into more of a drain manhole. And that's where we'll be connecting. To handle the surface runoff in that area, we're going to propose a new catch basin next to it that has a traditional 4-foot sump, an oil hood on it, so that all the surface runoff in this area will enter the catch basin. Sediment will settle out. It'll be a lot easier for the DPW to clean out periodically. And then the old structure will have a solid frame and grate on it, and essentially just act as a conveyance through that pipe as it exists today and into that box culvert under Waverly Street. So kind of converting it to a typical, with best practices today, every catch basin is tied to a drain manhole to prevent scouring and the resuspension of the sediment in the structure. I should note that as part of the ZBA process, the first of several peer reviews that they engaged was a civil engineer peer reviewer, Hancock Associates.
Yeah, that wasn't much help to us. Wasn't much help to me, anyway, that peer review. That was the ZBA's peer review. This is the Conservation
Okay.
Commission.
They did review the civil design for just best practices for civil engineering. They did review it for consistency with the Massachusetts stormwater management standards. And at the time, it was unclear the waivers from the local bylaws and regs, so they did review it for consistency with the wetland bylaw, wetland rules and regs, stormwater bylaw, stormwater rules and regs, and made comments on them. And we did look at this culvert. That's why I brought it up again.
Well, and that's, at least my concern, is the structural integrity between where you are there and where it connects to that box culvert and goes underneath Waverly Street, and then what happens to the water after it goes underneath Waverly Street.
Understood.
And that's what we think, at least what I think. I don't know if the rest of the commissioners believe. Needs to be reviewed by someone other than someone with my background.
Would it be acceptable to re-engage Hancock specific for this?
Not from my perspective, it wouldn't be.
They've already reviewed it. Why would we have them review it again?
So I think, just a question, Commissioner, in terms of if there's certain questions that Hancock never addressed, that this commission wants addressed, because Hancock knows the project very intimately in some ways, there may be aspects that Hancock didn't look at that this commission may specifically be looking for, and that Hancock may be the most suited to gather, answer those questions because they have the background knowledge of everything else that went on with the site. That's what was kind of alluding to, is whether or not it might be helpful if the commission had questions specifically. Again, great question, great concern, that Hancock may not have thought about, that if Hancock is asked about, they might be able to address in a way that's holistic to the project because of their intimate knowledge of the project itself. I'm just putting it out there as a thought.
Yeah, well,
it's not necessary. If you need a different peer reviewer, that's understandable. That's the commission's purview. I'm just asking if Hancock may need to be prodded to certain questions that may give you better information.
My own opinion is that Hancock should have asked that question to you. I shouldn't have had to ask that question to you, and they didn't. And so we're asking for someone to answer that question of of structural integrity of that section of the drainage system. And I would prefer it not be Hancock.
So just ask for clarification, but you mean the structural integrity of the culvert from that existing catch basin to the connection down the street?
From the catch basin that you're going to connect to.
Yep.
To the next catch basin, which goes into the culvert.
Yep.
And underneath the street.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean,
That's all part of
yeah,
your.
there's this inspection, but the civil engineers may not be fully capable, they may involve like camera inspections as well. If the commission needs that information, the commission is definitely within its rights to request that by an outside expert. And if that information does need to be collected, we just request the commission move ahead with engaging with whoever they need to get the information that they can feel comfortable that they've reviewed the project under the Wetlands Protection Act.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead, Gene.
You're Mark Arnold, is that correct?
Correct,
You're with Goddard.
correct.
You're an environmental scientist or wetland scientist, whatever you want to call yourself?
I'm a soil scientist.
Soil scientist. How come you're answering questions about drainage and drainage design and whether or not something is functional?
It's a great question.
Why isn't the engineer answering that?
If you want Will, yeah, I'll let Will answer these things.
Hi, Will Park, professional civil engineer.
Got it.
I understand your question, about
My question or the question that we're hearing from,
the structural.
okay, I'm sorry.
The structural integrity, I think, was the term. We understand your question about both the culvert materials, its life expectancy, of this structure, the culvert. I understand your question.
And so you agree that we can go forward with someone to review this?
I personally think that between SMMA and Hancock, we can discuss this. This did come up in the ZBA. The DPW brought it up, the conservation brought it up. We've addressed it like 3 times from 3 different parties in the ZBA. So I think we've addressed it. It would be our preference to continue the conversation with Hancock, but I understand if you feel that that rock has been overturned.
I think I may be wrong, but is Doug Small on this call?
To the commission, yes, I believe Doug Small is on the call.
Could you allow him to weigh in on this?
Yeah.
Because it's really a DPW.
Yeah, they observed it and made the same observations as us, that point A connects to point B, and it needs to be cleaned out prior to the project going online. It hasn't, to my knowledge, it hasn't been determined exactly who is cleaning out the pipe, but
I'm not sure that it's a matter of cleaning. It's a matter of checking to see if it can handle the.
Hello. Hi, this is Doug Small, DPW Director.
Hey, go ahead, Doug.
Hi, thank you. I don't, looking at all the peer review and all the notes from the ZBA, I haven't come across anything that discusses the culvert and anything that discusses from the actual, the catch basin that you're talking about, and then the pipe that runs parallel to the street that leads to the culvert. I know early in the process, there were discussions about cleaning the catch basin out and inspecting it some more, but beyond that, I didn't see anything. I didn't come across anything. And I did mention it a couple times to various people.
so we observed twice, the project team observed the catch basin and the outlet pipe in question twice. DPW observed it. We discussed it with the DPW and Hancock. We are matching or even reducing flows to that catch basin. So once it is cleaned out, we have every reason to believe that it will function perfectly properly. It's I believe, a reinforced concrete pipe well within its life expectancy. We haven't observed anything to make us think it won't function perfectly fine, especially after the improvements we're making to the upstream end of it to trap sediment and keep that pipe flowing free for moving forward.
Then you wouldn't mind if we had it inspected independently to confirm what you're saying?
No. Would not object.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, we would have to agree on the scope of that.
Agreed. Can we
Yeah,
agree on that scope now?
yeah, to have an independent inspection. Is that what you're saying?
I would like to have a peer review
Okay.
for the Conservation Commission of everything, including this. Because the peer review that we had prior is really of no help to me to decide the outcome of this application.
I, for one, would agree with Carl on that because, first of all, it was a ZBA's peer review. We had no input into what they looked at or what questions they asked, or, we had no involvement whatsoever in that process. And since we've now got the application, I've got a lot of questions that I didn't see were even discussed or considered by their peer reviewer.
Well, that's why I said what I said earlier, that we didn't want to get too far into the weeds tonight because we do have a lot of questions. We have a lot to do, which is why we've segmented these 40Bs into separate hearings from all the other ones. What I would like to agree on, and we have, is that we're going to do that. Two, that we are going to come up for a site visit to confirm the delineation. And three, that we could do a peer review of our own for the Conservation Commission. And then we can answer the rest of these questions, the more specific questions in subsequent meetings.
Understood. I am a little confused about why Hancock did a thorough peer review of, for consistency with the stormwater management standards and the local standards regarding, phosphorus and nitrogen removal and several other items that we did just in good practice. I'm curious what a second peer reviewer would find in addition to that thorough analysis.
Well,
first of all, we submitted stamped
I'm doing a lot of talking
plans.
here, so why don't I defer to some of the other commissioners to answer that question?
Okay, perhaps we can find some middle ground. Would Hancock, could they come to this meeting and answer our questions if they're very familiar with all the topics that we have questions on?
I think we'd be happy to reach out to our contacts there and see if they'd be happy to re-engage. I'm sorry.
Hancock is not here to support your project.
The peer reviewer works for the town.
Yes,
not
I'm
for the
sorry.
applicant.
I misspoke, sir. I'm sorry.
I mean, why would they come and do that?
It,
That doesn't make any sense to me. Whatever. I have not taken a deep dive into the design. I will, and I will have more questions. And I do have a lot of questions that get into a lot of detail, but I don't think we want to get into that detail right now.
I think, Gene, what we want to agree on is whether we can get a peer review.
Yeah,
Or
fine.
not. I thought that we were
Agreed.
almost there with the structural integrity discussion. I guess a second pair of eyes on this, I don't know what the problem with that is. We weren't happy with the first peer review, and it wasn't very helpful to us. So the fact that we have to make a decision on this that's going to impact the entire town, we want to make sure we get it right. Did you want to speak, sir?
I did, thank you. Israel Lopez on behalf of the applicant. First of all, it's certainly within the purview of the Conservation Commission to engage a peer reviewer, and, you know, we respect and support whatever the commission decides it needs to do on that front. I think what we're trying to understand is, because I'm hearing a number of conflicting messages. On the one hand, I'm hearing that you haven't really reviewed the information in the application. You have a lot of questions about it. And on the other hand, I'm hearing that you're not happy with the results or perhaps the analysis that was done in the existing Hancock peer review. So
I can clarify that, sir.
yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
A couple of, myself and some of the other commissioners have attended a good many of the ZBA meetings. So we were present with the discussion, but not privy directly. So that's the concern of that we weren't particularly pleased with it. However, it wasn't before our commission, and it has been before our commission this week, and that's why a lot of us have been able to review some of these pictures, review some things in more detail, and visit the site several times, and have questions that we think should be handled by someone that we hire, not someone that the ZBA hired. Did that clarify it?
It did, and I think obviously the project was before the ZBA, not before the Conservation Commission, as you pointed out. The peer reviewer that was engaged represented the town. You know, obviously it's the ZBA within the town and not the conservation within the town, but it is representing the town's interests, so presumably Hancock is acting on behalf of the town when it's reviewing the project. We would, you know, I think as has been mentioned, I think our preference would be that the commission go back and ask Hancock what questions you may have. I think it would be a more efficient review for all the reasons that they've stated. We have no interest in, it could have been Hancock, it could have been any firm. We don't have any particular allegiance to Hancock. We're just simply trying to facilitate the process in a way that doesn't, you know, create a lot of double work.
Well, it seems to me that because Hancock has done something, if we hired our own people, they could review the work that Hancock did, which would expedite that part of it, but they could also do the structural integrity part of it.
And if the board would like to do that, if the commission would like to do that, I'd be happy for that to happen expeditiously. And if the commission wants to agree on another peer reviewer this evening so that process can start, we would welcome that.
Okay, thank you.
And then on the structural integrity part, I think I just want to clarify what is meant by structural integrity. I mean, the pipe belongs to the town. Obviously, it's not on our site. It's within the public right-of-way. So certainly the town is certainly within its right to go in and clean out, you know, snake out that clogged pipe and, you know, perform an inspection of the pipe if it chooses to do so. I'm not sure if what was being requested is that our project do that and that it do it now. So that, I'm not sure what was meant by structural.
I don't think we're requesting that right now. It's, we have to find out that you're hooking into a system that we have to make sure is a good system, or we're derelict in doing what we're doing.
Right.
And so that's what we're asking. And what needs to come next, we would have to have in a subsequent discussion, from my perspective. So we're not asking anything right now other than for fresh eyes to look at what you've proposed.
Okay.
Does that work?
Okay, yes, it does. So I think what we've agreed to is a site visit this Sunday, and beyond that, I guess the board needs to deliberate as to whether it wants to engage another peer reviewer and who that firm is going to be.
And then Becca could communicate with you the outcome of that, if that works for you.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yes,
Thank you.
All right.
thank you.
So, Mr. Lopez, do you agree with the system that we've set up to have these? We're planning to have these hearings for the 40Bs separate from the rest of our agenda, so that we can spend the time that we need to spend on them. And they would be on off weeks for us, probably. Does that work for you?
Yes. Does the commission meet? It meets
Meets every
twice-
2 weeks.
every 2 weeks. If the commission wants to propose dates now that we can consider, that would be fine with us.
Why don't we, so we would continue this to a certain date.
It's certain.
8th December?
Well, it has to be the
next meeting.
date that we're not meeting on a regular schedule.
To the commission, your next two meetings are December 8th and December 22nd. So your off-cycle dates would be December 1st and December 15th. For your dates going into next year, the meeting schedule is on your agenda at the end of this meeting for discussion and approval.
December 1st is in 2 weeks?
Yes.
The Monday after Thanksgiving, right?
Correct.
Is there anything that, I guess before we finish too, Becca has a list of, a checklist that she'll probably send to you of things that you need to add to your plan. So you'll need
Okay.
time to add that to your plan. So would you rather go for the 1st or the 15th?
The first.
Does that work for you guys?
I won't be in person.
Yeah, works for me, yeah.
Dean, work for you?
Yeah, I actually may be in person.
All right, well, let's tentatively set that.
Okay, and just one other final question on the site visit and the delineation. It was, I think, if I heard the commission correctly, the commission is planning to walk the delineation and make its determination on the delineation.
Yes.
Okay.
To the commission, I'll just add one correction. The commission will not make any determinations at the site visit. They will not be able to deliberate with a quorum.
Okay.
They will make their observations and then deliberate at the meeting on December 1st.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so do we need a motion then to continue the?
Wait, we have to open it up.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
that's right, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, Artie.
it's all right. All right, is there anyone from the audience, either online or in person, that would like to ask a question or make comments?
To the commission, you have two hands raised online. I saw Jeremy Letchins first, and I would add the reminder that you guys do have a 3-minute limit on public comment.
Okay. Is that understood? Okay, Jeremy, would you like to come off mute and speak?
Yes, thank you very much for the time. My name is Jeremy Leachin. I live on Nicky Terrace, which is a cul-de-sac off of East Union Street. And I know this particular hearing is focused on the for conservation of the area, but I just wanted to go on record in saying that myself and many of my neighbors are extremely upset and concerned about this project for a number of reasons. First and foremost, safety. We already live off a very congested street both ways, and I can't see how this project isn't going to result in a huge increase in cars on East Union Street. I have 2 children who are both going to be getting to the high school in the next 8 years, and right now all we have from our street across busy East Union Street is a crosswalk. There's no stoplight, there's no walk, don't walk sign, there's no flashing light at the crosswalk, there's nothing. And this is going to significantly increase the number of cars on East Union Street. East Union Street is already congested, and this would make getting into and out of our cul-de-sac extremely difficult. It already, can take a minute or two waiting for cars to pass to come in and out of our street, and I can only see that this is going to drastically increase that issue.
Mr. Legend, this is the wrong hearing for that. We can only do wetland stuff that we have jurisdiction over. Tomorrow night, the ZBA is having, I believe, their final meeting. The ZBA is really the one that controls this comprehensive permit, and all the stuff that you're discussing is all legitimate stuff to discuss. It's just that you are at the wrong meeting to do it. It's the ZBA, they meet tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.
Okay, I received this notice in the mail that this is the first that I heard about this project and this meeting, so that's why I joined this meeting. So apologies that it is the wrong one.
Okay, well, but weigh in tomorrow evening.
And if you have any comments about, you know, water, drainage, anything related to wetlands, we'd love to hear that, as much as we'd love to hear the other stuff that we can't hear.
Yeah, no, my concerns are with safety and traffic and, you know, just being able to get in and out of my street. Those are my concerns.
Well, they're major concerns.
Yeah.
But they're under the auspices of the zoning board of appeals on this application.
Understood. I'll come to the meeting tomorrow night.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I see. Mark, yeah?
Yes, to the commission, Mark Dasoni is next on.
Okay, Mark, you can come off mute.
Okay, and, let's see something. First, Mark Sony 119 Main Street. And I know that the camera's not working, okay. Something must have happened with the feed. Okay, my question, I got two quick questions. The one is, how's the, what's the slope grades on the drainage part? What's the numbers?
Mark, we haven't really discussed that yet. This is kind of a preliminary discussion, and we'll be discussing that at subsequent meetings.
Okay, then you probably give me the same answer.
So save that question.
And this probably be a save one too. Is there any information about the 100-year flood situation?
That will be at a subsequent hearing as well.
And that's all I got. Thank you.
Okay, thanks,
Okay,
Mark.
thanks, Mark. Is there anyone else? Oh, yeah, we get someone in-house.
In person.
Yeah, they're okay, sure.
Hi,
Just name and address and,
hi, Paul Flaherty. I'm the owner of 63 Waverly Street. The property, our property is where this manhole is located. And I do have just a couple of things to mention that the commissioner keep in mind on Sunday on your walkthrough is that this time of year, normally, that wetland is full of water and it's flowing down the stream. But since we've been in a drought for most of this year, I believe it's still fairly dry up there. So I'm not quite sure how you flag it with no water there, but that's not my area of expertise. But I just wanted to make sure you keep that in mind on Sunday. The other thing is the surface retention area that comes off of some of the parking lots, I think. The overflow goes towards Waverly Street and into the manhole we've been discussing. Is there a reason why that can't go towards the wetland instead, rather than putting that much more water into the questionable drainage system that exists there right now? I don't know who.
yeah,
Yeah,
if
I
you want,
would-
if you can
yeah,
answer
I mean-
that.
I can answer that.
Okay,
Do you have any more questions?
no, I was just wondering if that
Well,
was
Mr.
possible.
Flaherty, let me answer your first question first. Wetlands are delineated by soil and plants, not by water.
Okay,
So we should be able to be okay.
all right, very good. You know what I'm asking, right? Yeah.
So the question was, why is the surface infiltration basin discharging to the street connection versus the wetland. One is that basin is just downslope of the wetland, so we'd have to discharge it. The bottom of the basin is lower in elevation than the wetland itself. Also, we are sending, I should have said this from the beginning, because the site is underlaid with hydrologic soil group A and B soils, our hydrology model, when you model a site with A soils, it says like essentially zero flow is leaving the site in like the 2, 10, 25-year storms. I know there's been reports from neighbors and townspeople that, who observe water leaving the site in certain areas. Our hydrologic modeling states that it's essentially zero leaving the site now. So our proposed model has to discharge essentially zero CFS in the proposed conditions up until like the 25-year storm. So the flows entering this, the system beneath Waverly Street is fractions of a CFS for, the weekly storms. It's, I think I don't have I can get the numbers, and perhaps next year and I can present just on this structure that we've been focusing on. But it's sending like 1 or 2 CFS in like the 25-year storm to this structure, which is why, again, we're very confident once the sediment is cleaned out that it's going to operate perfectly fine moving forward. So I think that addressed it. Is we can't send the water uphill to the basin, just how the elevation of the basin and the wetland work out, and that minor connection we're making to the street is not sending a torrent of water down there. It really is a trickle in most storms. We're infiltrating, 99% of the storms.
Could be my mistake. It looked to me like that was higher than the wetland.
The
discharge that is lower than the
Big basin, not the small basin.
right.
no, yeah, the large, right, not the small, the little one. That's
Well,
Through the commission, I'm just going to remind the public to please come up to the microphone so our people watching at home and online can hear you.
So you're talking about the surface basin, sir? Yeah. So the bottom of that basin is essentially level with the wetland. There is imagine I'm standing in the basin, you're standing in the wetland. Our feet are at the same elevation, so it's very hard to get it to drain kind of uphill. There's a lot of contours there because there's a berm right here, so that in the 100-year storm, it can fill up to knee high or something and then slowly drain back down. But we're anticipating that basin is going to be dry 99% of the time. So there's grading up and then back down to you. That's all the grading that you see there. Thank you.
So are you saying that in a large storm where it's going to be draining out the drain, which is not at the bottom of the basin, it's partway up the basin, if I'm reading this correctly, but that the wetlands would likely be fairly full too, so it couldn't drain into the wetlands because the wetlands would be up at that level as well?
No, the basin is equipped with a low flow orifice.
Why is my... I wasn't talking to you.
I would love to see what it captured.
Yeah, forgive him. I hate AI. Except when it's useful.
The outlet of that surface infiltration basin is at the bottom. You can see there is a structure there that appears to be halfway up the interior berm. It will have a low flow orifice that drains it from the bottom. And the second part of your question, the hydrology in the wetland does not play into what I just described.
Okay. Thank you.
We can make that more clear. It is, I can see how it's deceptive, how that OCS 1-2, the outlet control structure, does appear that it is up the berm. The low flow orifice will be down at the bottom of the basin at 230, or actually it's 229.5. The reason more than you need to know, but the reason, actually it is important to know. The reason it's shown up on the bank is so that, again, in the berm analogy, if there's a big berm going up and down right there, we like to have the outlet control structure kind of buried into the slope, so it's not a big concrete structure standing out in the middle of an open basin. So that's the kind of thing we'll detail in the detailed design of the project to make that concrete structure as least visible as possible.
Thank you.
To the commission, I have Claudia Bennett online with her hand raised.
Hey, Claudia, go ahead.
Good evening, thank you. Claudia Bennett, 9 Sandstone Way. I just have a process question. If the ZBA is meeting tomorrow night and potentially might close the hearing for 61 Waverly, how does that work while you folks are still navigating through your process?
Good question.
That's a great question. The ZBA's process and our process are related but separate. One of the things the ZBA has to decide is whether or not to grant them the waivers of the local bylaws, including the ones that are normally under our jurisdiction. And I think the assumption is that that is likely to happen because that's usually what happens in these 40B projects. So on the assumption that that happens, then our jurisdiction would be somewhat limited, but we still have the state law under our jurisdiction and would still be continuing to review and grant a permit under the state law, which the ZBA has no authority to waive.
To the commission, I will also add that council is on Zoom if there's any procedural questions that you would like them to clarify on.
Did I get all that right?
I think you got it right, Preston.
Do you have any follow-up, Claudia?
Okay. Oh, we have Gene Walker. Go ahead, Gene. I think you're
Jean,
still
you
on
need to
mute.
unmute.
You're muted.
Okay, I'm Jean Walker on 123 Waverly Street, and I'm not an abutter, but I am a neighbor that has been here for 60 years. And I've seen many things happen over the years. And one of the things that repeatedly happens during the spring, winter, even actually mostly during the winter, as it's getting towards the spring, there's water that comes out of the ledge area and goes onto Waverly Street as you begin, just before you begin to turn. And if you're going east toward Boston, you are not going to see that. You don't see that until you're almost on top of it. And it certainly is a concern for accident. That I know we're not talking about that, but it is a concern of accident happening when that water is all frozen, and it happens like quickly. You might go by it 10 minutes later, there it is frozen. So it just, I think, especially where the driveway is so close to that area, I think it really is a real hazard to people. And I guess my question would be, what the first death that occurs there, I'm sure that will happen the way it's set up now. Who is responsible for that? Is that the contractor? Is that the town? Who is responsible for that? That's all I have to say at the moment.
Gene, this is Carl. We are aware of that, at least some of us are aware of that, A, if we've lived in town for any length of time, and B, if we've been to the ZBA meetings, because it's been brought up numerous times at the ZBA meeting. We're not really talking specifics at this meeting. We probably will start at the next meeting, and I'm sure that will come up in the discussion.
And I did bring that up once, before when I was at a meeting and nobody was particularly interested in it.
Well,
So-
it's part of our jurisdiction, so.
Yeah,
we-
yeah, I know.
we will
Although I
discuss
thought
it.
maybe because it involved the storm water leaking out there, that it might be under your purview.
Yeah, and you're right. So we will discuss that eventually.
Okay,
Just
thank
not
you.
this evening. You're welcome.
Claudia, did you have another question? I see your hand is still up, or is that just your hand being up from the first question?
There we go. I know I had muted myself again and then I was locked out from unmuting. I did have a follow-up question. So, in terms of the, ZBA now, then if they have the ability to, respond to that particular waiver, do they reach out to you folks before they respond to the, local waiver?
We sent them an extensive letter discussing the waivers that were requested and our recommendations concerning those.
Okay, thank you.
Whether they've gotten back to us is your question, I believe. And that's, maybe it's a better question for council than for us to answer, if he wants to weigh in.
Yeah, and to the chair, I'm happy to chime in on that. This is Brian Winter from Mead, Tellerman and Costa. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, no, I just wanted to add that we've been in regular communication lately with your agent, who has suggested some conditions and some material to add into the zoning board's draft decision, which has been considered and incorporated. That draft decision now exists and it's been circulated to the zoning board membership. And I believe it's also been circulated to your agent for further review and comment. And so we are in communication. Well, I shouldn't say we, the ZBA is in communication. And we have those materials, we have those letters, and they've been reviewed and incorporated, and the draft has been circulated. So we hope as they continue that process, that communication will remain ongoing.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the general public? Oh, here we go. Yeah, sure. Name and address, please.
Art Johnson, Roberts Road, Ashland. I just getting back to the vernal pool drainage. There's all the parking spaces, like in a snowstorm, is some of the snow get pushed over towards the vernal pool? Because I'm just wondering about like the salt, and would that contaminate the vernal pool area? Or is the snow pushed somewhere else on this site? I know there's like 396 parking spaces, so it's like all around. So just wondering how the snow, with all the salt and everything, would that go into the vernal pools?
I think that's one of the things that's actually missing on the plan is where the snow storage is. So we will have that discussion.
Thank
So,
you.
but bring it up again if you don't hear the answer to it in subsequent meeting.
Can I address that, sir?
Sure, you can address it, yes.
Snow storage actually was addressed during the peer review process with the ZBA. And those snow storage areas are shown on C-121 layout and materials. There's several, it's a diagonal hatched area around the perimeter of the site, labeled snow storage area, and there's snow storage specialty signage as well. And also part of the ZBA peer review, and I believe this was a part of the, one of the conservation letters was a request to have fencing along the edge of parking, in between the parking and the wetland to prevent snow storage in the buffer zone and accumulation of trash that may, blow out of the cars onto the parking lot, over the bank and towards the wetland. So we have, the design does take that into consideration with both fencing, designated snow areas, and signage.
So you're saying that the hatched areas And those parking spaces, that's going to be used as snow storage?
Yes, that is consistent with current best practices from the state, where they actually encourage it to be on paved areas so that upon snow melt, it can melt into the stormwater treatment system to be treated and detained versus the traditional method that most of us are used to, which is piling it in lawn areas. The pollutants can damage the lawn and infiltrate into the groundwater. So that is actually discouraged these days.
How does it affect your parking capacity?
That was discussed with the both the civil peer reviewer and the transportation peer reviewer during ZBA. I mentioned before that the project requested a waiver of the 2.0 spaces per unit, and we're down to 1.75. The project team actually believes that number is still high compared to market demand, especially with, you'll see all the other specialty parking areas for ride shares and delivery. There's a term for it, it's like short-term parking or something. Turnover parking, I believe. We believe that the site supply and demand can accept the spaces that have been identified to be lost for periods over the winter.
Okay, thank you.
Greg, this is Gene. Just
Yes, Gene.
follow up on that. That may be a little getting into the weeds a little bit more, but what happens if somebody's parked in that space or in those spaces? And now you don't have a storage area?
That good question, sir. That gets into kind of site operations, where, you know, the on-site property management will just need to convey to the residents and their guests. And as I mentioned, sir, there is signage that will say snow storage area, and it'll be discouraged to park there. And I don't want to get in, I'm speculating here, but I imagine they'll know whose cars belong to who. And if there's someone parking there routinely in the winter, they can say, "Hi, hey, do you mind, you know, avoiding this area during, you know, we have a snowstorm coming up or something," and they can communicate. These sites are pretty well operated. They know who's parking where.
In a dream world.
Okay.
I see we have Joan online with her hand up. Would you like to come off mute and speak?
Yes, I just have clarification from, I think it's 2 questions ago now. But I believe, am I correct that the ZBA has already closed the hearing for 61 Waverly? And I was wondering how that, I kind of understood what you said about it. It's now come to the Concom, but if the ZBA approves the project and the Concom hasn't finished their process, how does that work?
To the commission, would you like me to check on that?
Yeah, Brian, go ahead.
Certainly. So the public hearing portion of the ZBA's process is closed, but they have 40 days to deliberate and render a written decision. So that's the part I was referring to earlier about getting the conditions right and vetting them with their peer reviewers and the professional staff within Town Hall. If that process ends, because it can't take any new evidence at this point, and the project is changed through the Conservation Commission's public hearing, then the applicant, depending on the nature of that change, may have to seek a modification from the ZBA and file an application and have that considered by the ZBA sometime in the future. We're speculating a little bit because I don't know what those changes might be or if they'll even happen. But there is a process under the 40B regulations where if changes are made after the decision issues, the applicant can go back to the ZBA and try to reconcile those 2 plans.
Okay, and second part of my question, thank you for that, I appreciate it, is did they, I have not read the waivers on this project. Have they waived the local conservation bylaws?
again, to the chair, would you like me to try to answer that?
Yes, please.
So the zoning board took a straw poll, preliminary vote on the waivers. Waivers, for the most part, were approved, but approved with conditions. So it's not a blanket waiver, generally speaking. So this is a good example with respect to the wetlands bylaw and vernal pools. We can approve that waiver request, or the ZBA can approve that waiver request on two conditions. One, only to the extent necessary to construct the project. And then two, subject to certain mitigation conditions, which are the kinds of things you might see this commission grant with respect to protection of a vernal pool. So some of those conditions that would normally go in an order of conditions by this Conservation Commission, because the zoning board is acting as the local authority with respect to the bylaw consideration, those conditions have found their way into the draft comprehensive permit that's now under consideration by the zoning board.
Thank you. I apologize, but so one of the waivers does request a waiver of the local zoning bylaws. Is that true?
Zoning bylaws, many of them, yes, and also the local wetlands bylaw.
That's what I meant. Thank you, sorry.
Yes,
Thank you. Okay.
what I assumed,
appreciate it.
yes.
Yes, okay, thanks.
Mr. Lopez, did you want to speak?
I did, thank you. I just wanted to make a recommendation to the Conservation Commission with respect to the delineation at the site. We were actually expecting that the commission would engage a third-party peer reviewer to walk the delineation and confirm the delineation by Goddard, which is what we've, quite frankly, typically seen most towns do. And so we would recommend that if the commission wanted to have a third-party peer reviewer that the commission selects to be present. I don't know if we can get someone by this Sunday. That seems like, fairly short notice, but perhaps, I don't know whether, that'd be feasible or not. But I guess we think that would be helpful in aiding the commission to have a third-party, independent peer reviewer sort of check the delineation that we've provided.
I don't have a problem with that, other than the fact that it's not our usual practice.
Okay.
We have wetland scientists on the Conservation Commission, and, I mean, I don't know, the other commission. What's that?
He won't be there.
Well, what do you, with regard to his request?
Well, typically, yeah, that's right. We go out and we'll either confirm or sort of change some delineation flags that we don't agree with. And in the past, we've come in with, we can't agree, we'll hire a third person to come in and either confirm or deny or give us a better delineation.
Yeah, okay, new for me because I've been in front of many commissions, and typically there's always a third-party peer reviewer, but if that's the way that this commission handles it, then that's fine.
Why don't we do this? We'll go out and do it ourselves, and if there's a conflict, we'll get a third.
Okay.
To
Okay.
resolve it.
Great, I just wanted to offer that up. And then lastly, if we could perhaps define the scope of the peer review for stormwater, if that is in fact what the commission would like to do, I think it'd be great to, define that scope so that, we can move, we can sort of understand what that scope is going to be and work through that. And it's not clear if the commission has decided to do that. I guess I'm just trying to get more clarification on that.
Has the commission decided to do that? Does everyone think that's
I'd prefer.
Yeah, to get an independent reviewer, yeah.
Okay, so we can.
So you want, go ahead.
We'd have to find somebody, and then see what their availability is. get a quote from them.
Okay, and is that something that we can have done between now and the next hearing, that the commission can engage someone and provide the materials?
We should be.
Yeah.
I think it's, we would have to discuss the general scope, because we're talking about peer review as well as structural review. And so, you know, we have to see who actually can do that. So I think the fact that you've already had it peer reviewed, as far as the performance standards and things like that, that should expedite that part of the review. But we just want to include the structural review, and so we would have to have somebody that's qualified to do that. And right now, we don't know who that might be.
To the commission, to clarify for our notes, it sounds like you are looking for a review of the regulations under the Wetlands Protection Act and associated regulations, a review of the overall stormwater design and how the stormwater regulations are being met, and a structural integrity analysis of the culvert being connected into and the associated connections as needed to confirm the capacity of that culvert to accept the proposed connection. Is that, have I
That's
summarized
accurate.
that right?
I'm not sure Mr. Lopez heard what you
I'm
said,
sorry.
but
I can send the notes to you, or I can read it out again.
No, you were right. The civil engineer to confirm the integrity and capacity of the culvert.
Great.
Agreed?
I think,
Yes.
just also for the record, I think we would want to tie the DPW into that analysis, at least for the structural aspect of the town's infrastructure.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Okay.
Anyone else in the audience? Any other questions or comments from the commission?
I'll make a motion to continue this hearing to, what was the date that we agreed on?
December 1st.
December 1st at 7 o'clock.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Pro I.
Crouch, aye.
Atkinson, aye.
Bolton, aye.
Wands, aye. Motion passes, and this hearing is continued until December 1st at 7:05 PM.
All
Okay,
set?
well, all right.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
we'll see some of you in the field
You're
on
probably
Sunday.
glad it was only a preliminary hearing.
Yeah. Okay, and then just to confirm, we're on for Sunday at 8 o'clock, this Sunday, 8 o'clock AM. Okay. Oh, bummer. Yeah, okay. Okay, next on the agenda, we have notice of intent 90 Waverly Street, map 10, parcel 70, Victor Moreo, DEP file number 95-1003, and this hearing was continued from our last meeting, and let's see, we have representation? Very good. All right.
Yep, Dan Shin with Haley Ward, here representing Victor Moreau, the applicant. I have a little bit of old school stuff, old tech. If there's more clarity needed for the video watchers, I should say, I do see some extra flash drives here. I have my computer, I can grab that if it's needed, but by all means, I'll at least get started, explain kind of the changes. It's been a long time since we've kind of seen this project, at least from my involvement. So I'll give you kind of the changes overall and then kind of get into more of the weeds there.
All right, very good. Yeah, thanks for refreshing our memory.
To the commission, while they set up, for the benefit of those on Zoom, I will share the screen of the plan and try to follow along with what they're pointing at with the laser pointer.
Thank you, Becca. Try to do both here. I see we have some new tech hiding over here as well. So it's been a while, so to give you a little bit of a refresher here, again, this is a single-family home, designated right, if I can find where this lands.
I don't think it works on the TV.
Rats. So the single-family home, pretty much on the southern side of the plan set, at least where you're looking at. Thank you, Becca. And then this is essentially going to be a septic system that's kind of shown with the little chambers there. Yep. And then you have this long driveway that kind of comes down right off of Waverly Street down the side here. Since then, we've kind of added some additional changes to the general stormwater management of the site. I know based on some of the previous conversations we've had, there was some concerns about water essentially ripping down off of Waverly Street, down the driveway, and overtopping the retaining wall. Again, this is a pretty significant size retaining wall. I think the peak of it is, I believe, 13 feet, if my memory serves correctly. But the changes for the drainage infrastructure, what we've decided to do is we added that pea-stone diaphragm, kind of showing that dark hatching right on the northern side of the driveway itself. We also provided a swale that kind of runs down on the other side of that as well with some check dams just to kind of, alleviate some sort of sediment, and then dumps down right at the corner of the driveway. Perfect. Thank you very much, Becca. That's like a little 1-foot sump, stone, for lack of a better term, just dam, if you will. It's going to have some reservoir space underneath it to kind of allow sediment to kind of settle out rather than being spilled out. Gives it a little bit extra filtration. And then from there, there's actually a connection to the wall itself. You'll have those, for lack of a better term, those under drains sitting behind that wall, and then we'll have some weep holes coming out the sides. I don't want to speak for the commission, but Victor has kind of informed me some of your guys' concerns, so I'll try to play the telephone game, and then if I misunderstood anything from our conversations, please just feel free to correct me. So it's my understanding that I believe there's some concerns with erosion. I'm not necessarily sure if it's about water going over the wall or if water coming out of the pipes. Either way, if it's coming over the wall, there is a construction detail that we show that actually has like a 1-foot stone diaphragm at the face of the wall. Let's see if I can find it there for you, Becca. It actually looks like it's in plan view. If you go up a little to the left, plan, perfect. And a little bit more up if you could, just so we can kind of see that leader. Beautiful. So again there, so what you're kind of seeing is that rectangle that's in all those rocks there, that's essentially the bottom of the sump itself, where water will kind of sit there, get retained, get some sedimentation, and then on the other side of the wall, on the front of it, you have essentially, think of it like a drip edge that you would see for roof runoff that doesn't have like gutter systems on it, just to kind of also assist with that. So I would, foresee that if water is coming out of these pipes, it wouldn't be coming out at, extreme velocities or scouring velocities coming out of it. It would all kind of drip down onto this foot of rocks on the face of the wall. That was kind of my understanding of the major concerns. So I'll kind of flip it back to you guys and answer any questions you guys may have from there.
So water will be going over that wall at that point?
Possible. I only say it that way because ideally, in a perfect world, right, the swale should capture a lot of that runoff and kind of bring it down to that stone sump. There's essentially a hydraulic connection between that stone sump and essentially that back or that rock backfill, if you will, behind the wall. That'll kind of allow water to slowly filter out. In extreme storm events, I think that's a fair assumption.
So you're saying that there's 13 feet of stone behind the wall that will filter the water, allow it to filter down, and then go out weep holes at the bottom of the wall.
Exactly. I'm not a wall designer, so I will defer to the structural, but general practice is you have like some crushed stone essentially behind that wall, as well as like drainage pipes. And the reason for that is twofold. One, if water is sitting behind that wall, you don't want so much water building up that you kind of get an overtopping. So those weep holes are kind of designed to allow that water some release, kind of coming down to keep coming out. But with the design that we kind of have here, it's essentially that sump's kind of sit in the bottom. You have a little bit of a hydraulic connection between that stone, or presumed stone outfill that you'll have, and then bleed out. I say assume because ideally, because of the size of this wall, as I'm just a civil engineer, structural integrity is going to be more important than anything. It can be done in a bunch of different ways. You could have like Marafi fabric, or I shouldn't say that, but more of like geotextile grid coming out behind it to kind of give it some structural integrity. But again, most general walls have that rock backing to kind of allow for that same kind of purpose.
And you're not expecting any flow to go over the wall?
Yeah, because you're gonna essentially have like those little stone caps sitting on the top of it. So maybe have like a 1/4 of an inch, you know, before like finish grade, if you will, to that wall as well. And again, because of the size of this, it would also have to follow suit with all sorts of building codes as well. I think when you're over 4 feet, you need a fence and stuff of that nature, so that would obviously be in the wall design itself.
I'm just concerned that you have a, 1-inch rainfall in an hour or two that overtop, and I'm concerned that the stone you have at the base of the wall is going to be sufficient to handle that and, disperse the energy so it won't erode away the base of the wall. I think that's our biggest concern. That's a pretty significant wall that is not going to get eroded underneath, and now you've compromised
No, absolutely. So
the house and property.
Absolutely. And just to make sure I'm on the same page with you. So the more the concern is the water falling over the top of the wall and that essentially the gravity pulling it down, hitting pretty much right at the base of the wall and underlining, potentially structural fill, if you will, for lack of a better term? Okay. I personally, I wouldn't foresee something like that being as of a major concern. The swale itself and the pea stone diaphragm. The pea stone diaphragm will kind of intercept a lot of the water that's coming off the impervious surface, which was going to be your most runoff generation during those kind of storm events. So you'll kind of have a little bit of dissipation as well, and you'll also have like those check dams in the swale that also trying to slow it down before it all gets to that sump. But great point. I think, personally, my concern would be is if you had like something that's very sizable that was holding water behind that wall, because then you would have more of like a head situation pushing water through those pipes. So to me, I would see this as kind of like the maximum extent practical kind of situation for this specific site, just because everything is, very tight. But great question, William. Thank you.
I have a question. And it really doesn't have to do with your site, it has to do with the impact of the previous applicant on your site. On your plan here,
Yep.
How far is the house from your property line?
Oh, that is a great question. Let me just try to do some quick check here. You guys are very prepared here. I appreciate that. Thank you. So let's see here.
Yeah.
So, I apologize, I'm not trying to intrude, but to answer your questions, about 124 feet from that plan view here would be the southeasterly corner of the house to the property line.
124 feet? Is that what
Correct,
it- oh.
correct.
What I wanted Mr. Moreo to understand is what was going on at the previous hearing, because he hadn't heard that yet. And the water that's coming onto Waverly Street is not coming onto his property, it's coming onto the neighbor's property, but it's also, there are two different manholes there.
Correct.
One has the culvert in it, one is further up the road. They both empty out. One is very close to Mr. Moreno's property, one a little further away, but they both have serious scouring going down that hill. And so my concern is if the increase in volume coming through those pipes, does that erosion go onto your property, and does it impact the structural integrity of the wall that's behind your house? And I just wanted you guys to be aware of that issue.
No,
because it's something I think that we're gonna have to address when we deliberate the next time. Where's this water going?
Yep.
And is it causing significant erosion on the other side of the street, which is maybe your property, definitely your neighbor's property?
Correct. So Victor did also bring this up to me, so I did come a little prepared. I did pull through some of their documentation. Again, did a very brief overview, just trying to get a good sense of like volume and flow rates. So what I'll at least share with you here is on the 100-year storm event that they had in their HydroCAD report, DP1, which is everything that kind of discharges to the, existing catch basin, if you will, into the existing drainage infrastructure on Waverly Street, was 2.71 CFS. So, in aspect-wise, it's not a whole lot of flow coming through it to the point of compromising. I think with those flow rates, I wouldn't anticipate any significant compromise, especially coming out of the culvert that comes off that catch basin right off the street. I get what you're saying. It makes complete sense to me because that pipe is set up from the road pretty high. So when you're kind of looking at it from ground view, if you will, let's say wetland side, it is kind of up there. There is like an existing, for lack of a better term, some like stones sitting there, and there's a lot of like disturbance. So I do understand that, like you're saying, that all existing scouring conditions, but everything should still want to flow kind of towards the back, right by the train rail there, if you will. But it's a pretty significant wetland, so I wouldn't anticipate that kind of situation. I think the concern that I would have in that situation, for example, additional flow rates, is if it was on the upgradient side of the wall and was kind of pushing a lot of that flow to the wall itself. But everything that, at least that I could see, is pushing behind the wall. So the only way you could have like a situation, for example, that you could have a compromise is if the water got very saturated, the ground was very saturated, the base of the wall, that could be an issue. But again, normally with walls of that size, they have like sacrificial blocks essentially buried underneath it, as well as like a little leveling pad to kind of just allow for that. So again, great questions. More of a structural question for the wall, and I think that should be considered, absolutely. But when it comes from the site's perspective, I wouldn't anticipate these flow rates that at least they portrayed in their HydroCAD report that have some significant impact to the wall's integrity. Again, mainly because it's downgrading and not upgrading. If it was upgrading, I think we'd be singing a completely different tune. But that's a great point, Carl. I do appreciate that. When Victor brought it to my attention, I was like, oh, I'll make sure I kind of, read into this a little bit without getting too involved in the weeds, because again, it's a different project and things of that nature. But great point.
Thanks for looking into that.
Yeah.
To the commission too, I'll just clarify for the audience, what I have shown on the screen right now is a map that Sophia put together. It shows the approximated line from the catch basin being tied into for 61 Waverly. It goes down the road. This is 67 Waverly Street for reference. It connects to a catch basin there. Underneath that catch basin, within the catch basin, there is a divide. There's an upper portion and a lower portion. The lower portion goes directly into the culvert under the road. That culvert in the connection in the road between the catch basins is in the lower portion. There's also another connection in the lower portion of what's listed here as a drainage swale. It's the outlet for the wetlands on 61 Waverly. Okay. And it crosses to 68 Waverly with an outlet facing 90 Waverly, yes. Which on if I can get the map to comply with me here, on these plans here, and I don't know why it's asking if I want an AI assistant, but roughly where the T in assistant is, but closer to the road in this area is where the outlet would be, with a channel coming into the wetlands here. There's a separate catch basin in the road here, which is taking water from the northerly part of Waverly Street, which also outlets to the wetlands in this area and can create some channeling through the wetlands. So there's two outlets into that wetlands there. Those, as was stated, head in I guess that's a westerly direction, northwesterly direction towards the rear of the property, towards the MBTA tracks, which has a series of different culverts and drain pipes in various stages of repair or disrepair that eventually go under the railroad tracks and into the Sudbury.
Thank you for the clarification, Becca. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just wonder, has this been before the planning board?
No.
Will it need to for the amount of fill that's being added?
That's a great question. So My understanding, based on the regulation that you guys have, yes, based on land disturbance as well. So it should go before the planning board itself. So you are correct on that.
Okay, but you're going through this process first?
Correct. Give you a little order of procedures here. So what we had originally tried to do is go through Board of Health first, just get it, because unfortunately this whole site is contingent upon two things, the septic system itself and the wetlands. So it made sense to approach both of you guys first, kind of essentially get your blessing or your input as well, because things moving around, for this site, there's really not much room to do so.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, Greg, I have a question.
Go ahead, Gene.
Yeah, Becca, can you bring up the drawing again? You said that you're not a structural engineer.
Correct.
Is this, and this wall is yet, it's going to be 13 feet tall, apparently. Is this going to be designed by a structural engineer?
Absolutely.
Okay, so has it been designed?
No, it has not. I know Victor himself is a structural, so I would defer to him on that one.
Okay. When you mentioned earlier that it might have geogrid, I think for a wall that high, I think it has to have geogrid. I can't see how you would build, this is a modular block wall, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so if you didn't have a geogrid in there, the thing would just fall over just from the weight behind it.
Absolutely. I'm in complete agreement with you, Gene. And again, not a structural engineer, but based on just wall construction that I have seen, absolutely, that's your typical standard procedure. But I'll actually hand it over to Victor to kind of answer some of those questions here as well.
Well, one of my concerns was, one of the problems with a wall and a wall of this type is when you get water behind it, which is why you have to have weep holes and so forth. If you're actually introducing stormwater to the backside of the wall, you're probably creating the worst condition that you could, because you're actually bringing it in when in fact you really don't want water behind the wall. And that was my concern, is this the amount of stormwater coming down the hill, along the driveway and so forth, going into this, I don't know what you would call that, the riprap area right there, and even coming down the diaphragm, because that's essentially an infiltration feature that's going to be infiltrating groundwater or water, surface water, all the way along, contributing to the volume of water behind the wall. It seems to me like, and that's why my concern was, are we creating a circumstance here where this wall is going to fail just because we're putting so much water behind it?
Absolutely. I totally understand the question here. And it's a difficult task for this site, mainly just because of the size of the site and the usable area. So I agree. I totally agree with you on that. You normally, in normal circumstances, you wouldn't want to introduce anymore, which is why you typically don't want to have a hydraulic connection between that, free draining stone behind the wall, as well as this little, for lack of a better term, just sump, if you will.
Right.
I'm just trying to think.
That was,
go ahead,
that was my concern. That was my concern, that we're creating a situation that's designed to fail rather than to survive. And I mean, the last thing you're right up against our no disturb zone, not that far away from the wetland. We don't want this wall to fail, obviously.
In complete agreement with you there. I mean, so when we talk about the stormwater side of it, the thing that I could at least recommend, I mean, we could utilize like a clay dam or something in between the two to kind of slow that. So therefore, what kind of happens is that sump truly acts as just a sump, builds up a little bit of water, and things kind of spill over during those high storm events, or when the volume is honestly chewed up, which would be pretty quickly. So that you could separate that kind of hydraulic connection that way. The other way could be like with an impervious liner as well for that. I think both are fine options. I think it's a little bit tricky because you don't have much room for storage, and then you also kind of want to get it away. So my concern would be, and again, catch-22, it's a double-edged sword here, so bear with me as I kind of try to navigate it. But The concern would be is that if you have, not enough volume to kind of at least hold some of that water, to Will's point, is then you're eventually going to have water just spilling over the top of this. Similarly, in like the less frequent storm events where you have much less runoff, the plus that you could get out of this is you have a little bit of water constantly kind of bleeding through rather than, utilizing all that volume all at once. For structural integrity purposes on that side of it, I'm with you. Yeah, you wouldn't want to normally introduce any runoff. I just think for the amount that I would anticipate, I wouldn't expect it to be that way. But again, I'll defer to Victor on that as a structural guy of what's the best course of action for this site. It's just very tight. The other thing I know we had talked about in the previous meetings as well, just to kind of elaborate on that, is there was a lot of concerns about groundwater recharge and things of that nature. And for this site, there's really just not too much room to do that. If you were to put like your typical Coltech chamber system, I could see a very similar situation like Gene's kind of getting at here as well, is now you have more volume being held above this wall and you're trying to promote it to, into the ground, but then that eventually builds up against the wall until you have that, free draining stone to kind of take care of that and send it out. So it's like I guess in my mind, I see it as groundwater recharge for this site, because it's so high up, is not very practical for two reasons. One, the location, and two, just the height of this wall and the actual usable upland area, if you will. But I think this approach that we've kind of tried to take here helps in some aspects of your typical stormwater standards, but not all of them. And I think the biggest thing here with this one is trying to allow runoff to safely get off this wall, get off this upgrading area in a practical manner. But Gene, you're absolutely right. I think that's a great point. So I will defer to Victor on the structural side of it. But if there's any, I guess, water-related questions, because it seems like the little disconnect here is Victor's very good with the wall stuff, not very good with the stormwater side of it, and I'm vice versa. So if there's anything we can focus on for the stormwater side, I'd be more than happy to. If it's going to be structure-related, I will be kind of handing off to Victor here. But I do agree. I think what Gene's kind of getting at is it's this problem requires both, and he's absolutely right.
Rather than just bringing it to the wall and then letting it run down, I'm assuming it's intended to run down the back of the wall and come out the weep holes at the bottom. Did you consider like a structural element to bring the water down directly to the bottom and then outlet it through the wall, through a pipe, like a catch basin system, say, with an outlet port through the wall, so that you're not even bringing that water into contact with the soil behind it?
Was not considered for this. Typically wouldn't do that for a single family home, but to your point, for this specific site, it does kind of make sense, but it would be a significant cost by all means, because, to that point is, if we were going to try to utilize it as a catch basin, right, you still want that 4-foot sump so that you don't discharge a bunch of dirty water out into the wetland, because you don't want that either. Right. But it's tough. I do like the input. I think that makes sense. But then again, the only thing I could just think of as being so close to the no disturb as well, you'd have to try to think about like a riprap pad for something like that, because you're going to be, I guess, promoting that kind of flow out and through. The plus side you get out of the outlet controlled structure or catch basin, whatever you want to call it here, is that you get a lot of that velocity removed within the structure from the storm, so it kind of splashes against the concrete. You're not worried too much about scouring and erosion from that side, but now it's just that conveyance out. So great point. I'm all eyes, all ears. I'd be more than happy to kind of look into something like that. I just think significant amount of work would be needed to do that, not only for just the structure itself, but also installing it for a wall that size. I don't know what size pipe might make the most sense to kind of go through it, because if it's a modular block wall, I imagine you wouldn't want to go between the joints of these structures kind of coming up. You're trying to want to keep it isolated. But again, I defer to Victor on that, but if there's anything else, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Well, it's a tough site to begin with, and you say it's going to be expensive. Well, you're putting in a pretty big wall, that's going to be expensive. You're bringing in a crap load of fill, that's going to be expensive.
Absolutely.
Your development cost is already through the roof for a single family house. So what's a little more?
good point, good point. You're absolutely right.
All right, I'm done.
Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead.
Do we need a engineering peer review of how the water interacts with the wall?
Is this a planning board thing, or?
Would that be planning board?
I don't know.
Yeah, I have some I was going to ask some questions about how this wall would stand up to repeated freeze-thaw cycles, if that would move the wall. Yeah.
Well, the benefit of a modular block wall is that it's flexible.
Yeah, I get that. If it's heavy enough, it would withstand the hydraulic forces of freezing and thawing over and over again.
If the wall fails, it's a major impact to the resource area.
Yeah.
So it is jurisdictional.
To the commission, I will add, because of the height of the wall, it will require a permit from our building department and will also be reviewed by the building inspector. I'm not sure if the applicant has spoken to the building inspector yet about the design. I know he is aware of it, and he has expressed some concerns about the water flowing over the wall. So that will also be reviewed by the building department as well.
Could we approve what we definitely have jurisdiction over, subject to review by the building inspector? Sure. Could we review and approve what we have jurisdiction over, subject to review by the planning board and the building inspector with regard to the wall? Because we're speculating a little bit here. I mean, if we speculated on everything that might fail on one of these developments and how it would impact a wetland, we'd be reviewing everything in the town.
To the commission, you could do that. If the building inspector or the planning board did require any changes in the design, with this being an order of conditions, the applicant would have to reopen the hearing and come back to you for an amendment, or at minimum, a minor modification under your minor modification policy as well.
When do you plan on going to the planning board?
As soon as we finish with this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if the planning board is covering the structure of the wall, though. It's just for the,
Well,
I'm not sure how broad that is.
whoever is got jurisdiction over the wall, where are you going to them? And can we put this on hold as far as what we definitely have jurisdiction over, contingent on what they say about this wall? Would that be something that's?
So if they approve, it's everything fine with you guys?
Well, the only thing that seems to be a hangup here is the wall. So as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
One of the things that we're gonna go after the next on board, and the design of the house, the design of the walls, probably towards the end. So I don't know how long you guys are willing to wait to get to that point, because it's not feasible to go for a whole structural design and then we come back, oh, this is not gonna be approved based on the wall, based on this, based on that.
Well, you talking about approving an order of condition, closing the hearing, approving an order of conditions?
No.
And then they would be required, as Becca said, if there was any changes to the design, they would have to come back.
That's not what I'm suggesting is that we table it if there are no more questions until we get a ruling from the building inspector. And then you would have to come back to us and we'd say, okay, he said it was fine.
Oh, okay, yeah, so that, how long you guys are willing to wait for?
Well, we've already waited a couple of years, so I don't think that's problematic. It's more of a matter of how long you're willing to wait.
I mean, as long as we're getting approval, after approval, we're gonna.
Well, right now, it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're talking about the wall. We're not talking about, and we're speculating on what happens if the wall fails. Other than that, I think we've covered everything. So if you can get some kind of a definitive answer on the integrity of the, structural integrity of the wall from the building inspector that the Conservation Commission is okay with, then we can vote on the notice of intent. Does that work?
Makes sense to me. I mean, it's, like, I think the point here is kind of this, it's, Victor, there's really two options here. There's the option of getting an order of conditions, getting it approved if the commission is willing to. If that is the case, you'll still have to come before the commission again to try to eliminate that kind of constant repetition, if you will. Carl's point is, let's just hold off on everything till we have all the answers and then have this commission make a decision. I think both avenues are fine. So Victor, I mean, which one you would prefer?
Yeah, we can do that. I can come back later.
So we'll go with your plan, Carl.
Okay.
We'll table this and then we can kind of go from there when we have more definitive answers from everybody else.
So we need a vote.
We gotta open up the public.
Well, we need to continue it to a date certain. We can't just table it indefinitely.
But we have to open up to the public first.
Yeah. Okay, just to be clear, so we're going to see a detailed engineering plan of a wall that highly likely to withstand, the vigors of being 13 feet tall and water and all that, Okay.
So just for the record, yes, according to Victor, what he's saying here, because he doesn't have the microphone, you guys will be receiving a full design build out for the wall to make things a bit more clear.
Okay,
All right,
good.
sounds good. Okay, I'll open up to the public. Sure, why don't you?
Hi, Art Johnson, Roberts Road. I'm right down the street. I was just a comment, I'm no engineer, but have you ever considered stilts? It seems like the wall would be very expensive and the fill and everything. I don't know, when you know, down on the coastline, a lot of houses are, I mean, you know, just a thought.
All right, well, thank you for that.
And if I will, Chair, through you, of course, thought about it in certain instances. For this site, the only biggest hiccup would just be the septic system itself. You do need to have a significant amount of fill just to make sure you don't have too much leaching going out, especially due to the proximity of the wetland. That would be my concern with something like that. But by all means, great approach. I like it.
I don't think that would work for the driveway either.
Good point.
Okay, so we have enough
What is
information.
the earliest date that you might want to come back?
It's gonna be tough at the end of the year. Can we push like 2 months? I know I'll have to do some homework on that, and I'll try to see what I can do with that.
What, would you say, a month?
For
2 months.
2 months.
To the commission, you don't have your schedule out for next year until you vote to approve the schedule on the end of your agenda. You could either continue this to your December 22nd meeting and continue it again the month or two from there, or you could continue this until the end of your meeting to open the hearing at the end of the meeting and then continue it out after you have voted on your new agenda.
Why don't we continue to the 22nd, and if you're not done, we'll continue again.
And give us a good idea at that time. You could just tell Becca ahead of time of what date would be the earliest date that we should continue to. So we don't just go next meeting, because we got too many of those that's what always happens.
Right.
Thank you.
And for the record, this has been one of them, so I appreciate that. That's a good point.
Okay, but for now, we'll pick an earlier date just to get us going on this process. Okay, so we're done with the,
Okay, do we need a motion though?
yeah, do I hear a motion to continue the notice of intent, 90 Waverly Street, map 10, parcel 70, Victor Moreo, DEP, file number 95-1003, until December 22nd at 7:05 PM?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Crow, aye.
Crouch, aye.
Atkinson, aye.
Moulton, aye.
Juan's aye. Motion is approved, and we'll bring it up again on the 22nd of December.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Have a good night.
All right, thanks for working with us. Okay, next on the agenda, notice of intent and request for stormwater management permit, 30 Memorial Drive, map 13, parcel 178, Rick McPherson of Metro West YMCA, care of Bowler, LLC, DEP file number 95-1009. And it's my understanding the applicant would like to have a continuance until December 8th at, December 8th, 2025 at 7:05 PM. Do I hear a motion to continue this hearing until December 8th?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Crow, aye.
Crouch, aye.
Atkinson, aye.
Moulton, aye.
Wands, aye. Motion passes, and the hearing is continued until December 8th.
That's what we don't like, every meeting.
Okay, thank you.
bet. Okay, next on the agenda, notice of intent and request for stormwater management permit, Algonquin Trail and Captain Ames Circle, Thousand Pines Development Corp., care of Crocker Design Group LLC, DEP file number 95-1011. And the applicant has communicated that they would like to have this hearing continued until December 22nd, 2025 at 7:05 PM. Do I hear a motion to continue this hearing until that date?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Crow, aye.
Crouch, aye.
Atkinson, aye.
Moulton, aye.
Wands, aye. Motion passes, and the hearing is continued until December 22nd, 7:05 PM. Next on the agenda is request for stormwater management permit, 240 to 260 Pleasant Street, map 13, parcel 108 and 109 Metro West Facilities LLC. The applicant has requested a continuance until December 8th, 2025 at 7:05 PM.
To
Do I hear
the
a
commission,
motion?
a slight correction to their continuance date. They have requested a continuance to December 22nd, and will request another continuance at that point. Their next meeting with the planning board is not until January.
Okay, so modify that to a continuance to December 22nd, 2025 at 7:05 PM. Do I hear a motion to continue to that time?
Second.
Roll call vote?
Crow, aye.
Crouch, aye.
Atkinson, aye.
Moulton, aye.
Wands, aye. Motion is, hearing is continued to the 22nd of December, 7:05 PM. Next, under general business, request for certificate of compliance, 26 Hardwick Road, James Duchette, care of High Point Engineering, DEP, file number 95-536. And do we have a representative for this item?
Yes, sir. Jesse Aguilar of High Point Engineering is on remotely representing James Doucette, the applicant and the homeowner.
All right. Okay, the floor is yours. Why don't you take us through your request?
Okay, thank you very much. So, High Point was retained by James Doucette back in October to close out an existing order of conditions that was issued by the Ashland Conservation Commission for the construction of the home at 26 Hardwick Road in 2000. And home was constructed in 2000. The order was never closed out. There was a subsequent request for determination of applicability submitted in 2011 for the construction of a wood shed at the rear of the property near the wooded edge. The commission issued a negative determination under the pretense that a portion of an at the time existing gravel playground swing set area that existed partially within the 25-foot no disturb buffer would be removed from said buffer and used as the structural base for the shed. That was done at the time that the shed was constructed, and the previously existing playground was removed, and the area was redressed with wood chips, or left to revert back to wooded area. So just for some additional background context, the original site design and the wetland delineation that was the subject of the order of conditions was performed by GLM Engineering. And given that GLM Engineering is no longer in business, Mr. Doucette contacted High Point to help close out the order as a prerequisite step to his selling of the property. So High Point retained Metro West Engineering to prepare an as-built survey plan that High Point reviewed in the context of the original order, as well as the plan that was the basis of the negative determination to determine that the site was built in substantial compliance with both the original order and the negative determination. We found that it was, with the exception of a approximately 325 square foot paver patio area that was constructed off the rear of the house, which is located within the 100-foot wetland buffer zone, but it is at the edge of the buffer zone, immediately adjacent to the house, between a retaining wall that extends off the rear of the home and a raised timber deck. So the patio is no closer to the wetland than the retaining wall or the deck. So, given that one deviation from the original plans, as well as the plan that was the basis for the negative determination, we're respectfully petitioning the commission to issue a certificate of compliance for 26 Hardwick, so that the sale of the home can go forward. I'm happy to answer any questions or address any issues that come from the commission or the general public. Thanks, that's all.
Any questions from the commission? That's pretty good.
Technically, wouldn't we sometimes ask for an after-the-fact RDA for the patio? But I'm not saying we necessarily want to do that, but in some cases we've done that.
Well, you mentioned we did a determination, or negative determination, right?
But yeah, I don't think that would be necessary in this case. I just wanted to point that out, that would be theoretically we could go there.
Well, the negative determination was for the shed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay.
But
This is not the patio. Okay.
So the patio was constructed at some time between September 2015 and March 2016. So it's been in place for at least a decade, for what that's worth to the commission, just to add additional context to the history of the of this site and subsequent projects thereon.
I don't have a problem with it. I just wanted to just make sure we thought through it properly.
All right. Yeah, I wasn't clear if the patio was part of the other RD. Well, it was an RDA for the shed, at least.
You've got two wetland lines, you've got two 25-foot no disturb lines and two 100-foot buffer zone lines, a purple one and a green one.
Correct. So the green one is the one that was the basis for the original notice of intent filing and the subsequent order of conditions that was issued back in 2000. The purple one is a subsequent delineation that was done to support the RDA filing for the shed. So in order to contextualize everything on site relative to all filings that have occurred with the commission over the lifespan of this site, we opted to show both delineations, and I'm here to explain all of that and contextualize all of that.
Becca, have you looked at the site?
To the commission, I believe Sophia was the one who did the site visit on this, so I will pass it off to her.
That is correct. I did go on site.
Closer to your face.
I did go on site. I believe it was either at the end of September or the beginning of October, and I think that the wetland line that they have provided does confirm what I saw on site.
Well, I'm assuming that we confirmed it back in whenever, if that was part of the RDA, right?
Yes.
To the commission, I will also add that what I saw in the wetland area, there's really no debris left back there. There's no any other structures that haven't been shown on the DOA plan or the as-built. It all looks pretty good back there.
Okay. So the question is, what do we do with the structure that's not previously authorized, although obviously we would be issuing a negative determination for that? And I think you're right that we normally would issue a determination to bring the site into conformance with what is permitted before we issue a certificate of compliance saying the site, which essentially is saying the site is in conformance. But Beck, I mean, Sophia, you've had this in September, huh? So it's been around for a while.
Yeah, the homeowners have contacted us when the order of conditions came up in the title search.
And as I see it, the homeowners have already spent a good bit of money on this, and they've done a pretty good job of documenting everything there. And it's just a matter of us going through a paperwork process to say, yes, it's okay. I can't see any way we wouldn't give a negative determination on an RDA. Is there any way we can just take care of this tonight?
We can't issue an RDA tonight.
No, we can't.
No.
But is there any way we can issue this certificate of compliance tonight and let them
like
sell
a
it?
partial, contingent of an RDA being filed for the porch.
The whole question becomes consistency with everything else we do.
To the commission, the COC form does not allow you to create new conditions. You could only continue the conditions that were on the original order. I will also add for the commission's consideration, the regulations say when issuing the certificate of compliance that you're looking at substantial compliance with the order of conditions. It does not define what substantial compliance is. So if the commission feels that the patio is minor, you can still issue a complete certificate of compliance. But if you feel that it is not minor and it needs an additional filing or mitigation, you would either have to require that filing or do an enforcement order for the mitigation.
The RDA that we issued, what year was that?
2011.
All right, so that's expired. We don't have any active filings on the site.
We do not.
So I was thinking we could at least come back next week or the next meeting and do a minor mod to allow for the patio, but we don't even have something to modify.
To the commission, if you were to require an RDA and the applicant filed it before this Thursday, it would be able to be put on your December 8th meeting.
What was your first option? Back up when you first started to speak about substantial completion or something like that.
If the commission determines that the patio is minor compared to the original plans, you can determine that the project is still in substantial compliance with the order and issue a complete certification regardless of the change.
I would say, given the time that has elapsed, the fact that Sophia has inspected the area and it's clean, and they're trying to sell the house, that's what I would suggest that we do.
Yeah.
Is the patio it's on pilings, right?
Or
is it
on the ground?
Ground.
No,
It's on the ground, yeah.
Yeah, it's flush with the ground.
Is it stone or concrete?
They're concrete pavers.
So like the separate little blocks interleaved?
Yeah, they're like hand tight joint pavers laid on a granular setting bed.
In the scheme of things, the order conditions was for the house. So that included deck stuff, the amount of area that the patio takes up, and it's right adjacent to the house is really not that significant in the context of the whole property being developed, including lawn and everything and driveway. So I think we could get away with it.
And if I may, the house and the patio are at the absolute outer limits of the 100-foot buffer zone for whatever that is worth to the commission.
If it were right next to the buffer zone, we would be having a different conversation, I think.
Right.
Substantial completion.
The term would be substantial compliance.
Substantial compliance.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we issue a certificate of compliance for 26 Hardwick Road, DEP number 95536.
Second. Finish the, oh, sorry.
No, that they met substantial compliance with the order conditions.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Ackerman, aye.
Crow, aye.
Crouch, aye.
Atkinson, aye.
Moulton, aye.
Juan's aye. Motion passes. So we will, certificate of compliance is granted, so we'll get the signature page signed this week and mailed out to you. So
Great,
thanks for
thank you very
coming in.
much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Have a great night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, request for certificate of compliance, 299 House Street, Peter Bemis, DEP, file number 95-976. I see Mr. Bemis is on the line. You want to?
Yes, good evening. Peter
Good evening.
Bemis, Engineering Design here.
Sure. Why don't you take us through your request?
Sure. So this is 299 Howe. This is a drainage improvement that we completed on the town property as part of mitigation for stormwater improvements as part of the Trails condominium complex. Basically, all the stormwater from this project in its phases 1 through 4, and we're in phase 4 now, would traverse through various water bodies to get to a existing 2.5 foot by 3 foot high box culvert that's made out of masonry units. and spans Howe Street / Wilson Street in the two towns here, Hopkinton and Ashland. If I can share screen, I could have a plan in front of me to show you folks. Would that be available, or can I do that function, Becca?
You should have permission to screen share.
Okay, thank you. And did that come through?
Yep.
Okay, great. So again, Wilson Street continues to, this is the municipal boundary line, and this is Howe Street. The area of improvement that we're asking the certificate of compliance for is in this area here. This other area is part of town of Ashland land as well. This section here is owned by Ashland, and we did improvements here as well. But this is in Hopkinton. We had submitted a certificate of compliance for this in 2024. At the same time, we submitted for this. This area is complete, but we have a number of other tasks that are still ongoing in Hopkinton. And we told the commission that we would not seek this until we had the other items completed in this portion of the project versus seeking partial certificates. So we waited a year, as you know, for submitting this area here. We wanted to make sure that everything was viable, and our vegetation was also viable during the course of the 24-25 growing seasons. It has done well. There was questions about some of the grass seed that we used for slope stabilization. That was an annual seed mix. I will say that, grasses can be somewhat persistent, and there are some grasses still there, but not very much. Most of that grass has died back. We had planted a-scented fern throughout this whole slope, and we actually supplemented that with more. There's over 100 a-scented fern plantings that are in this work area, along with various woody shrubs that we had also planted, far more than what we had originally specified, just to make sure that this area was reinforced and stabilized. And what's also happened is we've gotten oak saplings to propagate through here, just through the natural acorns that are dropping through this area. So it's Mother's kind of healing herself here. All the erosion control barriers have been removed. I do have some pictures. There were pictures as part of the plan set, so I can just refresh your memory on this. So this is our culvert. That is the head wall. So this is the masonry units that were there that we tied our mud slabs into. There's a over 2-foot depth of concrete that underlie this channel that protect the 18-inch water line that crosses through this area and about this position here. Again, various points. This was going downstream. This picture was taken back in 24, so that's why the ECB is still there. And then these were the channels on the other side of the street. So this is on town of Ashland property, but in the town of Hopkinton as part of a separate order of conditions. And I think the pictures will just show, I don't know if I have to stop the share. I think I do have to stop the share and start the share again. So bear with me one moment.
Do you have any?
Oh, go ahead.
These current? Okay.
Yes, sir. This is more current. So this is one that I had taken back when we filed the request. So you can see the ECB is still here, but we wanted to be able to give you a sense of the vegetation and then the section going out towards the reservoir. And then I can show you the other photos. So this is after ECB removal. Here, here, and then further downstream. So you can see everything's been removed. The reservoir is still pretty low. That's why you're seeing the shoreline here. Hopefully there's some snow coverage. I guess somewhat hopeful for the town's sake to have all the water supply replenished, because I don't see it returning unless we get an awful lot of rain and some snow. But that's our request, is to issue the certificate for this. If I go back a photo, you can definitely see the hay-scented ferns that are here. And then, I know there's a lot of leaves that are here, but there's a lot of oak saplings that have just propagated this past year. So they're doing well, and then these are the woody shrubs that we had put in. So the area has definitely stabilized and naturalized. So I would ask for the certificate. If there's any questions that you have, please feel free to ask, and thank you for your support and your patience with this project.
I was by there on Saturday, and I believe I saw a landscaping crew removing the erosion controls. Is that correct?
Yes, yes,
So that
yes.
last picture you were showing us was taken within the last 2 days, because there were still erosion controls when I was there on Saturday.
Yep. I talked with Becker about that, and we had, my son actually met with her out there on Friday, and we went ahead because the site is stabilized, so we did remove them. I'm not sure what the timing was as far as the removal, but I can assure you those were on the ground photos as of today. So it has been removed.
I just happened to be bicycling by there, so. I often
Okay.
do.
Then you probably have a better sense, if you know that area, that, the transformation of that and how it stands. So I'm actually pleased with the way the vegetation has come in on both sides. We planted a fair amount of wildflower, but that's a north-facing slope, even though we put in natives that will grow with lower light, but they're not doing as well as they are on the other side of the road, whereas there's a little bit more of a exposure to the sun. This is just all north facing.
And to the commission, just to add to that, I've added a photo on screen of the slope that Mr. Bemis was showing, more from the downslope side, so you can see a little bit better the vegetation there.
Don't see any evidence of erosion. Looks good.
Yeah. Anyone else?
No, boy, some of us have sat through this project for 5 years and weren't quite sure if it would ever come to fruition, but it's a lot better out there now than it was 5 years ago, that's for sure.
I think this was on my very first Conservation Commission meeting.
I remember meeting out there in the middle of the first year of COVID. But anyway, I'm good with it.
Okay, does everyone else feel that way?
Yep.
Okay, very good. All right. So let's, do I hear a motion to issue a certificate of compliance, 299 Howe Street, Peter Bemis, DEP, file number 95-976.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Ackerman, aye.
Row I.
Crouch, aye.
Atkinson, aye.
Mold abstain.
Juan's aye. So the motion passes, and so.
Thank you very, very much. I again appreciate your patience and your support for what we had to all pass through here, because yes, it does go back to that early COVID period, and there was
Yeah.
some difficult times, but
All right, well,
we came out the other side with some good improvements.
yeah, it certainly is. Okay, we'll
Thank
get
you very
those
much.
signatures
All right.
out this week, and appreciate you staying the course with us.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Good evening.
All right. Next on the agenda is emergency certification ratification, 198 Corderville Road, Claire Giarjari, emergency removal of one tree.
To the commission, this was an emergency certification that Sophia signed, but we jointly wrote, which was for the removal of one 20-inch white ash tree. It is in poor condition. The live crown ratio is very poor. The tree is leaning towards an existing house. The homeowner did have their tree service with the certified arborist with their tree service do the level 1 risk assessment, which confirmed the above and gave us a letter. Once the letter was received, the emergency certification was issued. So this is just to ratify that document.
Okay. Want a motion, Craig?
Yes, please.
Motion to ratify the emergency certification for 198 Corderville Road, Claire Jajari, emergency removal of tree.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Ackerman, aye.
Crow, aye.
Crouch, aye.
Atkinson, aye.
Moulton, aye.
Wands, aye. Motion passes. Okay, we'll sign that as well this week. Signature page. Okay, next on the agenda, enforcement order update, 220 Oregon Road, Michael Kai.
So to the commission, I believe Mr. Kai is on the meeting tonight.
Okay.
This is on the agenda after the commission's request to get a status update from Mr. Kai on the progress for the plantings. To refresh the commission's memory, this was a substantial restoration from clearing that exceeded, I don't remember the exact amount. I know it was over 10,000. It might have been close to 20,000 square feet. And so there was a very large number of plantings proposed. So Mr. Kai, I see you're on if you would like to provide your update to the commission.
Yes. Yeah, we've been trying to save money for this project because of the high cost of this project. So, and we just simply don't have the enough money for this right now. And we try to save the money, and hopefully in the spring we can, we can start.
What was the mitigation?
I'll pull up the plan and I'll apologize. The quality of the scan is not the best. It's also on its side and I cannot figure out how to get it to rotate. The red dots in the back are the stumps of trees that were cut. The black dots are the locations of proposed plantings. I'm going to scroll up off of that for a second to show the listings. It was 5 black willows, 5 red maples, 9 high bush blueberry, 9 sweet pepper bush, 9 spice bush, 6 white pine, 6 northern red oaks, 12 low bush blueberry, 12 witch hazel, 12 sweet fern, and 6 more white pine and 7 more northern red oak. And then overseeded within the wetland area, a New England wet mix, and within the no disturb zone, a New England conservation wildlife mix.
Can we set up some kind of, at least, starting point for this? You know, it's probably overwhelming for kind of overwhelming just listening to you talk about it, but it was an overwhelming, egregious cut. But if we could have a good faith effort of at least making a first step towards replacing something, that would...
Yeah, make some headway.
Yeah, do one component first, maybe the wetland component, and then work your way out as you go along.
I would think the overseeding with the different mixes would be one of the first things to do. That covers
Usually,
just I know it's...
Usually you seed it after you plant everything because you're going to disturb everything to plant it. But given there's no planting going on, maybe that would be a good start.
Have you been to the site recently?
I have not been to the site in the past couple months. However, my understanding is some of it is beginning to grow in, and Mr. Kai can correct me if I'm wrong. But I would think that Preston's comment of putting the seed mix down, if it's gonna be a slow planting of trees and bushes, having the seed mix down now would at least provide some benefit while the plantings are slowly placed in.
I would be in favor of that and any kind of segmented plan that you might come up with, Becca, with Mr. Kai to do this in segments instead of all at the same time, but at least we start one growing season next year with some of this stuff, and just keep us updated on what you can agree on. It wouldn't have to all be done at the same time, but it would be good to at least make a good faith effort on starting something.
And obviously, we've missed the window for the fall.
I think we need more than a good faith effort. I think we need a concrete effort to start getting plants in this spring.
Concrete in there?
No.
So through the commission and to Mr. Kai, maybe it starts with the wet mix seed in the wetland area and some of the 10 trees that are going within the wetland area.
Yeah, even for that, I already checked. It's a substantial amount of money. And I'm not sure whether I will be able to do that in one shot, okay? I wish I can do. And also for this plan, I didn't really pay too much attention to this when this guy come up with this plan. This so-called when we cut because the shrubs, I don't know where that come from because originally on the plan there's really no shrubs in there, and the trees which he come up with all these trees, I don't think we cut all these trees because I actually did not cut because these two gentlemen, two old guy live nearby, and they need wood for heating, so they come up with to cut this because
Well, maybe he can pay for these trees then, because he got the wood.
I wish they can, but I don't know. They just because you also.
Sir, this is not a laughing matter. This is a violation of.
No, I'm not
state law.
laughing, okay, because I feel very bad about this because I didn't know this is a wetland. Okay, I wish I can do this because we are on limited income. Okay, I wish I have the money to do this so that I don't have to endure this whole thing, this nightmare. Okay, it's not a laughing matter. It's not actually. So I wish I think I hope that as you said that maybe the phased approach, which I can do something in this spring. Okay, come up with some money. Because we are, senior citizens, Social Security, so we don't really have much money. Okay, so I think that in this spring, I can do we can do something. All right.
Mr. Kai, why don't you stay in contact with Becca and work something out, and then she can bring it back to the Conservation Commission for approval.
Okay, yeah, sure.
All right?
Yeah.
And that will start next spring.
Yeah.
Becca, does he know where to buy these plants? I mean, don't go to Weston Nurseries. Yeah, it's going to be really expensive if you go to Weston Nursery. There are plenty of sources of plant material that are a lot cheaper than that. New England wetland plants for the shrubs, they're $12 a shrub.
Well, she can assist him. She can assist him with that.
I didn't see $12 shrubs actually for this size, But if you could recommend, it would be good, yeah.
I can try and locate some different nurseries, see if there's any lists online and provide them.
New England wetland plants will ship them to you bare root, and they're like 12 bucks a shrub for a 3-foot shrub.
Okay. Can you say it again? New England what?
New England wetland plants. They're out in Amherst.
Okay. It's online?
Yep. They have a whole catalog online.
Okay.
And that's where you're gonna go to get the seed anyway.
Okay.
All right, we have direction now. Can we have agreements? All right, very good. All right, we'll move on now to the next item. Thank you, Mr. Kai, for joining tonight, by the way.
Okay, thank you. Goodbye.
Enforcement order ratification, 11 Diane Lane, Joe Notkin. Are you going to take this one, Becca?
Yes, to the commission, I will give an overview on this one. So a bit of history going into this. Back in September, the previous owner of this property was looking to sell their house and had contacted our office several times to determine what could and couldn't be done on the property because they were having some issues with selling the house due to the proximity of the wetlands that were there. During that time, I had personally gone out and looked at the wetlands. While I did not do a full delineation, there were measurements taken of where the approximate edges were in different areas and the proximity to the house. The no disturb zone basically came up right to the edge of the house in several locations. If you're looking at the house from the road, the left side is a stream. In the rear of the house, there is another expansive wetlands that is bordering that stream. Back in August, the property was sold to the current owner, Mr. Notkin, and in October, I think when I said September before, it was back in July. It was sold in August, and then back in the end of September, beginning of October, the current owner, Mr. Notkin, had reached out to see what could and couldn't be done on the property. At that time, I was unable to do the site visit, and so Sophia did do a site visit and informed Mr. Notkin that he would need a permit for just about anything he was doing out there. Then on November 14th, Bill contacted us and let us know that he had seen activity out there with some significant landscaping and some cut trees. I went out the same day and did confirm that significant clearing had taken place. So I will hopefully get these pictures to show up on the screen here. So these were taken on November 14th. The house is to the right here. The stream is just off of you in this picture. You can see some mulch, some loam, some wood chips that have been put out here. From what I recollect from when I was out at this site, the wetlands came roughly to where my cursor is now. And so everything basically to the left of that tree would have been the wetlands, and this area up to the retaining wall is the no disturb zone. Off to the right of the house, the lawn area there had been torn up as well. That was within the 100-foot buffer zone. This is a better view of that area on the side, and you can better see the stream channel in that picture. And then on the deck, looking back, you can see the patio, you can see some grading here. The rocks on the back here was the edge of the wetland. It drops off at that point. And you can see again, this is in the back. This is looking off to that left side. And then this is on the rear. And so this large boulder was the exact point where I said the wetland was, maybe a little bit beyond. It was very marginal. And so this area that has been cleared and graded is no disturb zone. This patio is in the 100-foot buffer zone. Because of the sequence of events where the property owner had been previously informed that they needed permits, and they had gone ahead and done the work without the permits, instead of just doing a notice of violation and having them come to the commission, a notice of violation was issued with fines in the amount of $400 for $100 for each violation of 4 violations, and an enforcement order was issued under the state act. Both the notice of violation and the enforcement order had the same requirements, which normally I would leave some of these for the commission to determine, but given that the ground is freezing and we want to get the mulch out of the wetlands sooner rather than later, I did put in the enforcement order and the notice of violation that the mulch is to be removed from the resource area by hand rake immediately, that all disturbed areas should be stabilized with a straw layer, and mulch or compost socks with a minimum of 8 inches diameter should be installed along the perimeter of all of the disturbed areas and staked into the ground for stability, mostly to have something in there when we get to the spring freeze thaw, that since there will not be growth there, something is in there to help protect the wetlands. It was also required that they come to your next meeting on December 8th, because this was issued on Friday. It was too short notice to require them to come to this meeting. However, because there is an enforcement order involved, you guys are required to ratify it at the earliest possible meeting you can, which is why it's on tonight for that. The property owner did contact us today and expressed that he thought that the restriction for needing permits was only for structures and that he was allowed to do anything else, and that this is his first time owning property and he just did not understand. I explained to him the need to remove the mulch and told him to just remove everything to the left of that little retaining wall by the deck, and to get the straw down and the compost sock down. And if he has any questions, to reach out to us, and that he should probably retain a wetland scientist to help him with the process. I think he's still a little confused on the process, but hopefully we will get somewhere with this. So this is on here tonight, 1 as the update, and 2 to ratify the enforcement order.
Is there a language barrier here?
No.
Were you able to see what it looked like before?
Yes, I have limited photos of the pre-existing conditions back in July. Sophia has some photos from October, which I should be able to share as well. I'll start with the July photos, and unfortunately they're not in all the same spaces, but this is that left side of the fence. The rock wall comes right here. This was all English ivy growing here. There had been prior disturbances in this area. You can see a swing set. This area was largely left natural, though I think frequent movement from people may have caused some of the lower vegetation, but it was characterized with ferns. There were some dewberries closer to the wall, but it very quickly switched to more wetland species. There were some royal ferns in there as well. I don't know if I have photos in the wetlands. I have photos of where I was augering. And this was the measurement from one of the wetland spots to the foundation of the house. So it was 17.9 feet to the house at that spot. Some pictures of the soil conditions. So we do have some baseline soil conditions. This is actually a issue further back in the wetlands that may be on an abutting property. And if I can find Sophia's photos from October, hopefully I can find them. 1 second.
I think we've probably got enough to verify that there's a problem here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you were there before all this happened, so the homeowner did reach out for guidance and then just basically, yeah, yeah.
Did what he wanted.
Stronger language, yeah, but sort of, yeah.
Well, why don't we ratify the enforcement order and continue to pursue it, Becca? That's what I would suggest.
Yeah.
Any other discussion, or are we ready to? Okay, do I hear a motion to ratify the enforcement order for 11 Diane Lane? Joe Notkin,
So moved.
Second.
roll call vote?
Crow, aye.
Crouch, aye.
Atkinson, aye.
Molten eye.
Juan's aye, motion passes, enforcement order is ratified. We'll sign that this week. All right, so we'll be seeing Mr. Notkin at a later date. Next on the agenda, wetlands violation, 0 Pond Street.
To the commission, I do not see Mr. Orifice on the meeting. I believe the commission was expecting some further update on him on the status of getting the wetlands delineated. To my knowledge, we have not heard anything back on that. Sophia did go out on the site and meet with Mr. Orifice and had agreed to have an area that she had determined likely to be the no disturb zone, have the dumpsters removed from that area and move to a different location on James Road there where storage was also being done, but outside of wetlands jurisdiction. The road was also agreed to be swept. I'm not sure if the road was swept. The dumpsters were moved from the no disturb zone, but it's my understanding that afterwards more dumpsters may have been brought in to the area. They're still outside the no disturb zone, but there's more in the buffer zone.
To the commission, I could add to that. So on November 8th, I believe, Carl was over there. He saw them unload a dumpster onto the property of 0 Pond Street. I went out on site. It did look like more dumpsters were placed. I have not been in contact with Mr. Orifice on that matter. I was hoping he would appear before the commission tonight, as that had been required on an amended notice of violation that I had hand-delivered to him on November 4th. You all had required him to give you an update tonight regarding the delineation of the wetland resource areas and a schedule on preparing an after-the-fact notice of intent.
Is there another notice of violation need to be issued with fines?
If you all would like to go down that route, we can definitely do that.
Well, nothing seems to be getting his attention.
To the commission, the previous fines, from my knowledge, have also not yet been paid to the town clerk.
Which means if he doesn't pay him, we'll put a lien on his property, right?
I would have to check with the town clerk, but I believe that is an option that they can pursue.
Well, maybe he'll understand that.
Yeah.
He seemed to be agreeable at the last time he was here, right?
He made it sound like he had money. Yeah, his business was thriving.
Well,
He's
do
got
we give him-
dumpsters.
Do we give him a chance, notify him that he has to definitely appear at the next meeting, or he'll be facing additional fines on a daily basis?
Sounds good.
I do not get the impression that this is somebody who's going to be very proactive. That we have to stay on top of this, or nothing's going to happen favorable.
To the commission, we can issue another notice of violation requiring them to come to the next meeting or face daily fines. That can be accompanied with additional fines for not attending this meeting in violation of the notice of violation, and as well as additional fines for continuing to put dumpsters in violation of the cease and desist.
Yeah, I mean, adding dumpsters, yeah,
think
that's a
that's
real
appropriate.
slap to the face.
Right.
Yeah, that's real disrespectful. Because we thought we had an understanding.
Yeah.
Is that clear?
Yes, I think we have a way forward, and with that one being a notice of violation rather than an enforcement order, no vote is needed.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Okay, that's it for general business. So the next is other business review of the 2026 meeting schedule.
Yes, give me 1 second to get this up.
It looks pretty simple that we've actually got 2 meetings every month, if you consider June 1st to actually be May 32nd.
I seem to have lost my meeting schedule. I will just pull up the annotated PDF because I cannot get my Excel sheets. I don't know where it has gone, so I'll take ample notes. We did manage to keep this year with the proposal, basically 2 weeks between every meeting, with very few exception where it will be 3 weeks. The first meetings in January are earlier are regular, but the submission deadlines are earlier to accommodate the holidays around those times. The first real change is June 1st, as Preston called out, which is shifted to avoid Memorial Day. And then the rest of the meetings in June, you would have 3 meetings in June, but those are also shifted to avoid having a back-to-back meeting as a result of the Memorial Day one. It would then result in just a normal 2-week difference to July 13th, which would have you back on regular schedule up until September, where in September you'd be switching to the first and third meetings of the month, or Mondays of the month, in order to shift everything for Indigenous Peoples' Day in October, which would continue to November. And then in December, rather than having the second and fourth, where you would be having a meeting very, very close to Christmas and New Year's, kind of right in that middle, it's shifted to December 7th and December 21st, so that you get all your December meetings in before the holidays. This, of course, does not account for any 40B meetings you would have off-cycle.
So basically we'll be meeting every Monday.
Maybe 3 times a month.
Except for holidays.
Except for holidays. June, you might have 4 in that month.
So this avoids the major Jewish holidays?
None of the Jewish holidays actually landed on Mondays this year, so you guys are in the clear on that one.
Oh, lucky us.
Well, we're only meeting every week until the 40Bs.
Just approve them.
That's right.
Just kidding, just kidding.
Clear our schedules, huh?
Okay, you want to keep going? I have a question that's unrelated, but do we have signing sheets ready to sign tonight?
Yes, I do have everything that you voted on. I have a copy of and ready for you to sign after this meeting.
Just like old times, huh?
Okay, continue.
I don't think I had anything else to present on the schedule, so if the commission is all set with that, we have a formatted version ready to go on the website. We just need a vote from you guys to accept these dates.
Okay, motion to accept the schedule for next year?
Second.
Roll call vote.
Ackerman, aye.
Crow, aye.
Crouch, aye.
Atkinson, aye.
Moulton, aye.
Juan's aye, motion passes, and the schedule is approved. Okay, so we're gonna table the minutes, yeah, for next time?
Yes.
Two of them?
To the commission, besides the late hour, we unfortunately wrote the wrong dates on the meeting minutes, including today's date. So there's nothing that you can vote on because we don't have the right information. They will be at your next meeting.
Okay, very good.
Now, are you collecting these folders?
You can take them home if you would like. We just ask that you bring them back before your next in-person hybrid meeting so we can fill
Are
them.
you using any of the paper?
We would keep everything that's in there now and put a divider between the meetings so that you have everything from a previous meeting to look back at.
You guys got folders? I didn't get a folder.
It's right there.
We have one for you, you're just not here for it.
Okay, so we can sign after the meeting, after we adjourn, correct?
Yes, you do still need to adjourn.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Ackerman, aye.
Crow, aye.
Crouch, aye.
Atkinson, aye.
Moulton, aye.
Juan's aye, motion passes, meeting's adjourned.